Everybody, welcome to... Oh, dang, it's the excellent shirt. We're back to that again. What's up, everybody? We've got multiple X's. See, I've got this awesome Chun-Li shirt. You've got the egg shirt. Welcome, everybody, back to the Tuesday show. My name is James, joined by, of course, Mr. Ultra David and Tubaware. How you guys doing?
I was doing great, but now I'm wondering what the connection is between an egg and Chun-Li in your mind.
No, I'm just saying
that those two things.
I just have an excellent shirt, I'm saying, and you have an excellent shirt, so...
Okay, well, how's it going, Tubaware?
You know, after that, I can say that I've been better, but here we are, getting by.
I like your color combination today. You're looking good over there.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it.
You look like a
All
movie
right, let's
poster.
talk about the stuff that we're going to be talking about.
And everyone's saying that the audio is hella quiet right now. Let me do this.
You broke it, James.
How's this, guys? I have now increased the volume. How is this here? Sound better now? Sound better now, guys? Okay, yeah, there you go.
Sweet. We're professionals.
Yes. No, but your
That's
color
right.
your color scheme looks very much like movie poster color scheme right now. So, because that's what all movie posters are.
I understand the reference. We're going to be talking about Guilty Gear Strive. It's been out for like a week or two, depending on when you have had access to it, and so we're going to be discussing it more in depth this time. We're going to be talking about Tekken versus Street Fighter is something over on the side here that we'll definitely get to. Street Fighter has a new ad campaign. That's hilarious. Our guest is going to be ApologyMan. We're going to be talking about Strive. We'll talk about Guilty Gear, his story in general. We'll talk about upcoming stuff as well that he's doing. We have some fun 5-5 matchup stuff to talk about, including the old dreaded 3 out of 5 question. The old chestnut warming it up over.
I'm going to hit you guys with some science.
You're going to get some science on us. Fantastic. We'll talk about EXO Academy. We'll talk about ICFC. We'll talk about tournament results, including CPT, FGC Arcade, CLG Burst, and everybody's favorite topic, James Chen. James Chen is going to be a topic of conversation.
No.
We'll talk all about James Chen.
Oh, yeah.
No.
We'll talk all about James Chen.
300,000 seconds.
Yeah.
Correct. But let's start out by talking about Guilty Gear Strive.
All right. Been out for a while, and obviously...
Get that there timer counting.
Yeah, it's obviously been out for a while. This is a game that we've all been playing a lot of people have been playing, as evidenced by the record for the second highest concurrent players on Steam, right after Dragon Ball Fighters. But a lot of people are playing, and a lot of people are still playing. It's crazy. I go to the parks, and they all have people in them. There's like 64 parks on USA West Coast, and every single one of them has like 5 people in there. So, at least 5. So,
is that where you've been playing the most? You've been going to the parks?
No, I was trying to use the parks before they fixed the PC private lobby thing. So, because that was one of the workarounds for it. But I haven't. I mean, I was actually saying to Tubaware before the show started, I haven't played the game nearly as much as I've wanted to, sadly. So it's just time and doing all sorts of other things all the time. So,
what about you, Tubbo?
Guilty Gear is the best. I'm the best.
Okay.
I don't know about you plebs down there on the 8th floor or wherever you are, but VIP Celestial here, only playing the best of the players. All right. So we go hard. Yeah, I feel like James, I haven't played nearly as much as I want to, but I also feel like I've played plenty for an adult with a day job. So
yeah.
I can't complain too much, but man, I wish I could be one of those dudes that just has like a level 1025 Potemkin or whatever right now. I'm looking at them like how like where does the time come from? But
now how does the
I love the game.
Now I know how the Celestial thing works. So for people out there who haven't seen this yet, when you're on the 10th floor and you can still rank up one more time to get to the 11th floor.
Well,
the Celestial
2 more
floor.
times technically.
Is it 2 more times technically?
Well, when you're on the 10th floor, if you win enough games, you get invited to the Celestial floor.
Right.
Then you have to win 5 out of your next 6 matches to get VIP status for the month. and then you get to stay on Celestial, and you can just play the stronger players all the time.
Now, when you get to for the month, is it a month from when you get there, or is there like you get there on?
I think there's just a reset like the first of the month. They give you like a little like like the little butler tells you in the bubbles like every month it'll reset or whatever.
So if you get
they
there,
didn't give you a date or anything.
So if you get there on the 30th, you might get kicked out the next day, basically.
It was the same way in Killer Instinct. To get to killer rank every month, you had to earn it again. So I'm okay with it.
Okay.
It's the same way in Mortal Kombat with Combat League. You always have to work your way to get back up to the top. Like I think that's a pretty common thing at this point. That's been the case in other non-fighting game games.
It gives replayability beyond I'm ranked number one in the world.
Yeah,
which you're gunning for. You told me earlier. That's what your goal
I'm the best. I'm already
one
the
in
best.
the world.
I'm already the best, so it's
already done it. Got it.
Yeah. I went onto the PC version because I got playing on the PS4 version means I got to play on my laggy TV. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna switch to the PC version, and I played that. I think I got my first invite to Celestial in like 8 games or something.
Yeah, it comes fast.
Yeah, but then I got to 4 wins and 1 loss, and then I lost, and so I got ejected because I didn't realize even when you do a 2 out of 3 set and you lose one of them, that counts. So even if you win a set, it still counts when you lose. And then I got my second invite to Celestial, and I got bodied by another Anji player. I think Anji is horribly underrated, and I think it's a terrible matchup for Potemkin, but all these Anji players are like, Potemkin is his worst matchup, and I'm like, Jesus, I don't know what you guys are doing, but, man, that fight sucks.
Well, I've been playing it a lot, too. The last time we had this conversation, last Tuesday, I hadn't really played it yet because I had just come off like 5 weeks of traveling and moving and yada yada, and I just hadn't had time to play games in a long time. But now I have been back to normal over the past week. It's been a normal week for me, which has been super cool. So I have been able to play, I don't know, to guess 12 hours maybe, something like that. And that's almost all been in player matches, just like playing with friends.
Okay.
And maybe it's 10 hours, I don't know. But I haven't played ranked almost at all. So yeah, I'm like 7th or 8th floor, something like that, like whatever. That's not really the focus for me. At some point I'll get there, but I just want to mostly play against friends. Yeah. For me, the game's great. I'm really, really enjoying the game, just sort of at a overall level. Many, many positive things to say, but certainly one of the biggest is that it's the meetup game. It's the meetup game for my friends right now.
I see.
That's the game that like I can play with people from basically wherever. I don't even know that that's limited to North America. Like that might be to East Asia, and it might be to at least the northern part of South America, and it might, I mean, it's huge. It's a huge potential range. So I've been playing against people from all sorts of places, and it's both accessible in that way. So there are people who I play the same games as in some cases, but like we don't really have good connections from far, so we just can't really play against each other. Right. And then there are other people who maybe we could have good connections, but like we don't really play the same games, And Strive is the meetup of those two. It's the game that they're playing and that I'm playing, and that also we can all get a good connection on. So it even aside from the gameplay, which I really do enjoy and we'll talk about, that fact is a huge portion of why I'm enjoying myself right now, and that's basically why I'm not playing on ranked yet. Like at some point, I feel like I'll get used to this, and we'll be like, okay, we'll be able to play like whenever we want. But right now, I'm like, dude, like let's play against the friend in New York or like the friend in Florida or the friend in Minneapolis or Chicago or wherever. Like that is awesome, and I wouldn't spend time on ranked when that's an option.
Funny thing, David, you mentioned playing with your friend in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
Let me tell you guys what happened. I'll tell you guys a story. Here. Saturday night, I said, hey, David, we should play some Guilty Gear because we haven't played yet. He said, yeah, sure. I was like, let's play in the morning. He's like, yeah, let's play in the morning.
Yeah.
Tomorrow morning rolls around. I take into consideration that I'm 2 hours ahead of David. So I wait till about 11 a.m. I'm like, hey, man, let's play some Guilty Gear. He goes, yeah, sure. I'm just making some breakfast. Be right there.
That sounds very reasonable. So
2 hours later, he comes back, and he goes, dumb idiot, I went to go do wife stuff with my wife. and we never play. That's what David did to me. So,
wow.
You know what's funny is that I use those exact words too. Yeah, for sure.
And the funniest thing too is like I've always said, like I think that's what a lot of because like I've been talking to a lot of people who talk about anxiety when they play ranked online and all the stuff like that, and I was like, online play is more like is more friendly for trolls, and I said like Ultra David.
I don't enjoy rank for that reason. That's not what I care. I mean, I'm not playing. I'm playing to make myself laugh a lot, but
that's
I would say
exactly
I'm trollier with people. But I would say I'm trollier with people I know, not people I don't know. Don't you think that's
I've
true?
seen you play against people that you don't know, David.
Yeah, but don't you think I'm trollier against people who I do know?
Yes. I
think I am personally.
Yeah, it's probably true.
But that's anyway. Like that really is the reason that I haven't been playing ranked at all.
One of the things that I want to add to that, though, I've been talking to, like I said, I talk about this topic a lot about this ranked stuff and how to make fighting games good for beginners and what the features are and everything. And it turns out the best feature for beginners, the best way to get them in, is good netcode. Because everybody that I've been talking to has been okay. So obviously, on top of the good netcode, Guilty Gear also just makes you feel like a boss. Like from a casual standpoint, when you break people through walls, you get giant counter hit messages and stuff like that. For a lot of the beginner level players, it makes them feel awesome. But on top of that, when they can get good matches and they don't feel like they have to, the netcode is not getting in their way. And because the netcode is so good, so many people are playing, they get a lot of people on their floor to play against. And so they're playing against a lot of people that are at their level. Whereas like in Street Fighter, you'll be like a gold player and you run into Ultra Platinum. And you're like, why am I fighting this Ultra Platinum player here? Because, I mean, not to say Street Fighter doesn't have a lot of players. But right now, Guilty Gear is just really, really cool. And, I really, a lot of the people like the floor system. They feel better about the floor system than seeing their numbers go up and down,
Here's the problem with the floor system, though. Eventually, all the good players get to Celestial. All of them. So then you just have bad players all stuck on the 10th floor fighting bad players, and none of them can break into Celestial. Whereas in a traditional, like, ELO system, you don't have those issues.
Yeah, but
if you're not in Celestial, do you play people? Can you play people in Celestial on your way into Celestial? No, right?
So the only way to get to that floor is you have to be on the 10th floor, and then you get invited. And then you can get kicked right back off if you lose 2 games. So you
invited,
get bumped right
invited
back
meaning
like you rank into it. You get invited like in the game. They invite.
It's automatic. I mean, it's yeah. So, but what I'm saying is that in order to get into Celestial, you're not playing the people who are already in Celestial.
You could be.
You could.
You could
be
on the 10th floor. Only on the 10th floor, though.
Yeah, I mean...
So the 10th floor includes Celestial? It's like a sub-floor?
No, the 10th floor is its own floor. You win enough games on the 10th floor, you can go to the Celestial floor. However, you can't stay there until you win 5 out of 6 games. If you lose 2 games, you get booted right back down to the 10th floor.
Okay, so at least when it comes to qualifying for Celestial, there's going to be some threshold that's probably going to be difficult to break through.
Yeah.
That's VIP.
But for the rest of the rooms, I think I'm worried about what I see happen in Combat League. So in Combat League, on day 1 of the new season, mad dash. Everybody's playing, and there's a ton of really good players playing, and they're all at the same level. So you could get matched up with like a super genius player, just as likely as anybody else, right? Because there's no like rankings yet.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And then on day whatever, arbitrary number 10, those players are all in the final tier, right? And so you're not meeting them anymore. Instead, you're meeting the people who didn't qualify through, now the people who aren't as good. And so it's not as hard to qualify to get higher up because you're just not playing the people who are at the high level anymore.
Yeah.
Then on day 20 and day 30 of this season, easier and easier to move up. And then I don't know that it's a huge problem. Like I don't super care about this. But I do notice this being progressively easier to qualify into higher ranks the later in the season.
I mean, the thing about it is for this one, it doesn't reset the whole thing, right? It sounds like Combat League, everyone starts kind of at the same place, right? Yeah. But this one, when the month happens, everyone just gets kicked out of Celestial and gets put onto the 10th floor again. So it's not going to be like a big, massive reset.
And I mean, even if it was, like, you go up floors very quickly.
Yeah. And again,
it takes like a win or two to go up most floors.
Yeah, the biggest concern, like you said, Tubo, and like some people in the chat are saying, is, you know, the concern that as the months go on, the lower floors are going to become a little more barren, so you don't run into as many people, right? Because everyone just levels up, and then you don't drop down again, and you basically have to have, like, nobody drops floors, so you're always going to need to have a steady crew of new players.
Well, that's not true. You can drop from 10th to 9th and 9th to 8th.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You can get demoted. You're right. Yeah,
you can get demoted.
Yeah, you can get demoted. Right.
I think the bottleneck just comes when it gets to VIP. When it gets to VIP, it gets bottlenecked.
Right. I mean, I like it right now because, like I said, it's friendlier than staring at your number going up and down. You know what I mean? And people feel, and like I said, I've been talking about this to other people too. Humanizing your opponent online definitely makes it a little bit easier to play. And I feel like the way that the lobbies work, that you can see the guy running around and kind of get an idea of who they are, and you can run into them again and see their avatar that you recognize. I feel like it makes it feel a little less intimidating than just fighting some invisible username entity. And I think that's kind of neat as well.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that as a humanizing factor.
Yeah.
However, I do agree. I was just going to mention what 8-Bit Barbarian says in the chat, saying getting demoted, especially in the middle of a set, is frustrating.
Or promoted, either way.
I was just going to say, I have been in the middle of a set and been promoted, and I really don't like that. And I suspect I'd really not like it if I got demoted. I think that would probably super suck. That'll probably happen at some point.
Yeah, they need to fix that. That's for sure. If you are playing in a 2 out of 3 set, it should let you finish the set no matter what. If you get demoted in the middle or promoted in the middle, it should let you finish, and then after the set it decides to demote you or promote you like that. 100%.
The issue with that though is then they would have to lock people into 2 out of 3 sets, because they would have to make sure that the 2 out of 3 is counted as the W, not
no, they don't. They could just register as, oh, okay, you're supposed to be demoted, but I'll wait until you two stop connecting to each other.
Yeah, but what if you win the next game? Are you not going to get demoted anymore? Like it.
I also just think that why not just have the 2 out of 3 count as.
Yeah, that's what Killer Instinct did.
That's what MK does. That's what Street Fighter does.
I mean, I guess
Street Fighter gives points. Never mind.
I would rather have it that way too for getting into Celestial, that you have to win 5 sets.
Oh,
I would rather.
No one would ever do that. Yeah. There'd be just like the top player there, the top player, just one, keeping everyone.
Anyway, yeah, this rank system, I guess we'll talk about it as it goes on, like as time goes on. We'll kind of see how it plays out. I'm skeptical. I don't love it, but yeah, I mean, I hear what James is saying about
I'm not a fan.
The characters, maybe humanizing people could be cool. As far as the rest of the lobbies go, dude, let me tell you about. I know this is everybody's experience, but Keats and I, for probably 5 to 10 minutes, were trying to get a game together in a private lobby. And it kept teleporting me from one game station to the other. And it kept teleporting him from one game station to the other. And that process was just us literally teleporting around this house for 5 to 10 minutes. And a couple times being like, oh, it says initializing on my screen. And he'd be like, what do you mean? I'm on the exact opposite side of the house from you. It doesn't say initializing from you at all. And finally it did happen. And that process just sucked. It was 5 minutes, something like that, for me to turn on Steam, go into Strive, go into the online mode, go into the player mode. That took minutes. And same for him. And then it took another 5 to 10 minutes to actually connect with the guy who I was in the building with.
Yeah, the private
that
room.
Just sucks, dude. And once we started playing, it was great. We had a really fun time. It was very cool. But dude, everything before that, I just really could have done without. I really could have just done without the entire process.
Is that true? If people have
just had a button that's like, well, hey, here's Keats's friend code or whatever stupid business. Just let me play him.
Yeah, interesting.
Mike Lee Story said that there's a glitch with names. A bug with names.
If there's a space...
Apparently, if you have a space in your name, it causes errors.
Interesting.
I don't know. I don't have a space in my name.
Well, he does have 2 spaces in his name.
Well,
I also
doubling the bugs.
I also have 2 spaces in my name.
Yeah,
quadruple bugs.
Here's the thing: like when I've been trying to run, lobbies for my, for the viewer lobby stuff on my stream, and it's been miserable. Like I can't even play. Like Soul Calibur with Parsec, I can actually play, and then the other machines people can handle it and stuff like that. When I'm doing the Guilty Gear one, I literally can't play. I have no time because I have to spend the whole time going, okay, jump on this machine. No, don't start yet. Wait till I spectate, and then here do this. And it's absolutely miserable. Their private lobby system is miserable.
We've talked about it many times. This part of the game is ass. It's ass part of the game. The rest of the game, maybe that's not quite right. The gameplay side of it, love it. I'm having a super blast so far. Everything else about the game, I could do without. The entire rest of the package to me. But that part of it is really, really, really good. I'm having such a fun time. And I have found so much more interest and complexity in it since doing the missions and getting to understand more about RCs. In the betas, I didn't do that. I don't know if it's available, right? It wasn't. Okay, so for that, I just figured the RC was like basically how I thought of it in like old Guilty Gear games, but it has all these different uses, and it's really interesting, and it lets you do a lot of different stuff. And so ever since I kind of figured that stuff out, I have felt a lot more engaged in the game, and yeah, I've been having a blast with it. I've been playing Axel, and I think he fits me really well. I like a lot of what he does. He seems like a strong character to me, although I'm not good, but he seems like a strong character to me. And I haven't yet fought anybody who makes me mad. I mean, every character seems like they have good stuff, and they all have things that are good mix-ups, good control, whatever it is that the character does. But all of it seems interesting, I guess, rather than being stupid or OP or whatever. I haven't seen anything that makes me think that it's less interesting because a character is good or bad in a particular way. That's because you
haven't seen me yet. As soon as you see me, you're going to be like, wow, I'm so angry and annoyed and mad.
Definitely not.
Big facts, yeah.
I think May looks cool. I mean, I've watched a lot of May so far because she's on like every video game stream, and I think she looks cool. In fact, if Axel didn't exist, I could totally see myself playing this game's E-Honda. That makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. Definitely this game's E-Honda.
Leo is scary. I feel like, let me tell you, I played against a Leo a few days ago. One of my buddies.
Oh God! What the heck? Sorry.
Oh no!
I just hit all the wrong buttons. Sorry. Okay, go ahead.
And here's what I did. I pressed punch a lot. I pressed 2P a lot. Sometimes I did like far slash or charge back forward slash. Like it was that matchup as Axel feels like it's pretty good.
So here's the thing, for those people who are having trouble with Leo, is go to training mode, make him do close slash heavy slash into run behind, and then just practice throwing him. Like learn to time that throw. You can get the throw every single time, and it makes it so that it's much easier to fight him. So
all right, what about you guys? What character? I know it sounds like a May for Tubbo. We talked about that. How's the May life going for you? How do you like her? How do you like her matchups? What do you think?
I don't like fighting Axel. But that's not going to matter for you. I mean, that's whatever. Okay. But yeah, no, I think she's really strong. I think she's overrated by most people, as the Honda Blanca type characters, Charlottas, etc., are always at the beginning of games. So that's fine with me. I don't know if she really had like a terrible matchup that I like hate. I don't like fighting Axel. Potemkin is scary just because he exists. But like most of the top tiers, I'm not that afraid of. I'm not afraid of Saul. I'm not afraid of Ram. I'm not afraid of Chip. Like,
she's OP.
Whatever.
No,
Yeah, May is fun. She's super fun. I like making people mad, and so many people hate her. It just fuels me. Makes me want to play her more. I'm mad I'm not playing right now. I was playing up until like 3 minutes before we went live.
Yeah, I know.
So,
jeez. I mean,
yeah, I love this game.
I mean, in true UltraChen fashion, David plays the character that completely counters mine. So I'm not gonna to fight David at this point in time. So
I guess that has happened quite a few times.
Yeah, what do you mean quite a few times? That's like our whole existence practically.
How does that happen? That's true. All the way back to ST and in SF4 and in SF5. SF4 when Dan blew up Cammy, of course, is what I'm referring to. And in SF5 when Honda blew up Lucia.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm not sure this is real, but there's at least a couple of examples of it, yeah.
No, but I mean, I'm a Potemkin player, and, I understand where a lot of people are coming from who think that Potemkin is pretty bad right now. There's a lot of people who say Potemkin's really bad because holding up back really hurts Potemkin a lot because he doesn't he doesn't have a lot of good ways to punish people going up into the air. Even getting plus frames on the anti-air grab doesn't really amount to much because they're usually kind of far away. But I think the character's fine. I think Potemkin's fine. Most of the Potemkins I see I don't feel like use him to the extent that they should be using him. Like a lot of Potemkin players use his meter for red Roman cancel combo extensions and things like that. And I feel like that all is a mistake. Like everything for Potemkin needs to be saving his meter for fast RCs. Because there's just like at any given moment you can get SPD'd. You can get pop bustered basically at any given moment. And I have like 9 different ways to fast RC into Potemkin Buster that like I can just pepper in whenever I feel like. And I catch a lot of people off guard for those reasons. Now, a lot of the times you'll see people jumping, so I have to jump up and air throw them or something like that. But then I also did some experimentation yesterday that it's interesting. If you guard break them in the air with the anti-air grab, now obviously this is expensive because you need a full bar, but because I'm usually hoarding onto my bar for the BRCs, but when you guard break them, as long as your Roman cancel activation does not hit them with the aura, you can Heavenly Potemkin Buster them out of the air. So normally if you do it and you red Roman cancel, your wave is big enough that it hits them, and so they go into a true block stun, and so you can't grab them. But like someone showed that if you crouch fierce and then do it, it pushes them at a range that you'll drift forward and it misses. You can also do, if you're good, I mean, this is really hard to do for some reason, you can actually just do DP, red, Roman cancel, fast cancel into Heavenly Potemkin Buster. And there's nothing they can do about it.
I can see that being hard. Yeah.
Well, the only reason why it's hard is because when you activate the Roman cancel, I think it kills all your previous inputs. Because I was doing 236 Roman cancel 236S. Try to do it like that, and it just won't work. You have to do...
That makes sense, though. That makes a lot of sense that it should do that.
Yeah, you have to do Heavenly Potemkin Buster as fast as possible, so...
One thing that I haven't seen Potemkin players do... I watched some Snake Eyes. He has a sick pot, obviously. Like, he's just a genius. Mm-hmm. But I haven't seen YRC from pots. Like, he gets pressured a lot because he doesn't have good defensive options.
Because they're trying to save the meter for the good offensive options.
But it's your turn. Like, you're at plus frames now, and and then you have a mix-up of command grab, like right there. I feel like that's so threatening, and Pop Buster does so much damage. I'm not going to be close to you. I would be pressing my chain from very far away. But if I was many other characters, I think I would be worried about that in terms of pressuring right next to him.
By the way, I just want to give one little tip out to people there because this helped me a lot. For the people who have trouble with fast RCs, especially on PRC, make sure you use the Roman cancel button. But the way you want to do it is build a rhythm. Like, listen to that. And that's easier rhythm than, waiting the time. So double tap the Roman cancel button because during Roman cancel, it can't do anything, and it makes the third button easier to time to do the fast cancel. So you do tap, tap, and then hit the button that you want to fast cancel, and it gives you that rhythm. If you're a musical kind of person, that helps a lot. So I always go tap, 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 and then the third button is the one that I fast cancel with, but building the rhythm for 3 taps as opposed to 2 taps actually makes it a lot easier to do, in my opinion. So that's my advice. So you can mash, but it makes it a little trickier, obviously. So,
all right. I mean, I'm using YRC quite a bit as Axel because I don't have quite as many opportunities to use it for other reasons, nor desire, I guess. Really, there's some definite like combo extensions you can do, and some of that's really powerful if you're in the right situation. But a lot of the time, that's not really what comes up. I'd rather just be controlling the screen and have meter for YRC. You know, I mean, if it gets blocked, you're in trouble, but like it's just a defensive mix-up, and it's his only defensive option, really. So that's something that I've definitely been doing quite a bit. And then not even doing anything after that, just like, blockchain to get out of there, just to push them back and reset the situation rather than like trying to make it a mix-up or something like that. So that's where a lot of my meter has been spent. I think it's quite interesting, dude. Yeah, I like the game a lot. For me, I think that I can probably see a future where I'd go back and try pot maybe later on. Right now, I'm just going to stick with Axel. But I think in the future, I think I'd like to check out Potemkin again and see like sort of what
the most
tricks people have invented by that time.
The most brilliant thing for Potemkin right now is the Kara-back Mega Fist. That's like
right, yeah.
That is the most brilliant thing because you can't cancel into it very easily. So you have to do the forward Mega Fist when you're just canceling like heavy slash into it. But if you're in neutral, having that one be safe on block and on hit, like you know how fast Soul's slash is, right? I've actually tested it that if you Kara back Mega Fist and hit him, you can pop buster him before the slash actually hits you because that's how plus you are on it. He can kick you because his kick is 3 frames. But if it's a standard Soul who's mashing on slash because they think it's like every other Mega Fist, you get a free pop buster on him, and it's really cool. So it's Potemkin he's dirty, dude. He's fun. And like I said, I get smoked by Anji because I'm a very jump heavy Potemkin, and Anji does that stupid uppercut move which covers the entire screen. It's like a gravity squeeze. It's like a gravity squeeze anti-air practically. And so he just destroys me, dude.
It's like a what?
Gravity squeeze. I
don't think it's like it's not like gravity squeeze. That's the entire
have you seen how that thing hits? Dude, like, if I'm Potemkin and I'm, like, start round distance and I neutral jump and jump backwards...
It's your fault for picking the character that takes up 90% of the game.
It's true. It's true.
That's on you, man.
Yeah, it's true.
The full screen hitbox is your character, not that.
Yeah, that's not the move. It's your character.
But, I mean, right now, the crazy thing is I think it was Automatic who said it, and I agree with him absolutely. If your tier list is... Faust is the worst and everybody else is somewhere up there, that's about the most accurate tier list that you can basically have. Like that's perfect. Like right now for me, clearly Faust is the worst character, and then everybody else can. It's like Soul, then Ramlethal, then like one of like 6 characters, and then everybody else like all up here, and then poor Faust. Like I'm
well, can you briefly put? I know I see that we're running out of time, but can you briefly put the tier list that I linked onto the screen?
Oh, that's right. You had a couple of those, right?
The Japanese one.
The Japanese ones, yeah. Right, and this don't take this to be definitive. I think instead it makes the point that James is just making, which is that so many different people have different tier lists right now, and these are even a little bit different than some others that I've seen. While you're getting that ready, I just want to briefly say that there was a patch which was supposed to fix some network stuff and graphics stuff, and I don't know whether it's fixed the network stuff because I have played it since then, and I didn't have a great time with that functionality. But I haven't seen I haven't had any graphics problems on the stage L'Oro di Illyria, I guess, which was supposed to be an issue. So for me, that hasn't been a problem.
So,
tier lists are fun early on. Don't take them seriously. It's just for fun. It's not supposed to be
definitive. This is definitive information, okay? This is rock solid. It's never going to change. Don't listen to Dave.
So this is from Koji Kyoji, Goichi, Dogura, and Kiame.
Okay, so this
Or
is
very
Koji's.
strong Japanese players.
This is Koji. He actually has Chip in S. Interesting.
So if you're not looking at it, yeah, it's Chip in S, Sol, Mei, Milia, Ram, Geo in A, and then etc. And to be fair, one thing I like about this is that he doesn't know where to put characters like Axel, because his character Potemkin gets eaten so badly by Axel that he's
Right,
like, well, I don't really know what to say about that. Is Axel good, or am I just, am I playing the wrong character, or what the deal is?
Okay. And then Goichi, here's his Soul, Chip, Mei, Leo, and then, wow, he actually has Ramlethal in B. He's a Ramlethal player, that's why. He's down playing his character.
Well, he was playing Chip for a while.
Yeah. That seems...
Faust in last place yet again.
Faust in last place for the fourth one here. I'm not sure whose this is.
This is, but again, Soul on top, Chip also on top in S, and then A is,
this is Dogura.
Ram, Geo, Mei, Milia, and Zato.
Yeah, see, this is all pretty accurate to me. The only thing I will say that I think is wrong consistently between all four of these is that I think they are horribly underrating Anji. I think Anji is terrifying as a character.
We didn't even really look at the last one yet, James.
Yeah, we haven't looked at the last one much. Well, you were right there. Yeah,
this was the last one here.
The last one has Soul, Chip, and Zato in S. And in C tier, it looks to me like, well, maybe it's not specifically ordered, but Faust, Nago, Ino, and Anji are all.
Yeah, I think the most interesting thing is they consistently have Ino ranked pretty low.
Yeah.
And I think Ino is pretty strong.
Yeah, same.
There you go. There's a look. Again,
the best thing about this
early,
is that
obviously.
And that's the best thing is that everybody is everywhere on this tier list, and I think that's actually super cool. That makes me happy to see, basically. So
totally agree. All
right, moving on.
Let's move on. Let's talk about this topic for a long time. This next one, this important topic.
That's not.
All right.
That's right. The topic is Tekken X Street Fighter.
And I appreciate your long headline, David, that you gave for it. So,
is it dead or alive, or virtual fighting for life? Well, I don't know. Here's the news. So, Harada, producer of Tekken, y'all know who it is. On a show that he has, Harada's Bar, he said something that was originally translated as something like Tekken versus Street Fighter died after it was about 30% done. So like they had worked on it and then it died. And people were like, oh, so what this means is that like it was officially canceled. For sure it's not happening. It's definitely dead. And then he clarified and he was like, actually it wasn't canceled. What do you think? Is it canceled? Are we ever going to get this game? What do you think about this important topic?
I think that Harada is the new Ono. That's what I think. I think he doesn't know what the hell is going on with this game. That's what I honestly believe.
Ooh,
I don't think he knows what's going on.
That's high. The new Ono you're giving him high praise. Is that the
yes? Exactly. It's very high praise. Very high praise. Yeah.
So, look,
I can't defend him. The "Don't Ask Me for Shit" stuff was funny, but years later, man, it doesn't seem so funny anymore. It just seems like you don't know what you're doing, and it's rough. Because I like Tekken, and I want Tekken to keep doing great things.
Well done, Tiny Text in the chat, by the way. Well done.
What?
His comment, Tiny Text's comment in the chat. I like that. But, I mean, from what I'll say, though, is that just kill it. Just kill it. You don't need it. Who cares? That's how I feel about it right now. You already put Akuma Geese and all. What do you want? with a Tekken Cross Street Fighter 4. Like Tekken, you're I think it'd be more important to build it into your brand to make it stronger and just put guest Street Fighter characters in there. Leave it open so you can bring in guest characters from other games like you're already doing, right? Why limit yourself to Tekken Cross Street Fighter? Just put in more Street Fighter. Just ask Capcom, like, hey, can we put this Capcom character in? And just build it into either Tekken 7 or Tekken 8 or whatever, you know? I just think the point of it isn't there anymore. So I'm just...
Yep, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, thinking back to when Street Fighter Cross Tekken came out, and around the same time, or was it simultaneously? I don't remember now. Tekken Cross Street Fighter was also announced.
Yes, they are announced together.
That's what I thought. Yeah, that was just a really different era in the FGC. There wasn't as much stuff going on. It wasn't like mid 2000s, nothing going on, but like, there was not nearly as much good stuff as there is today, and Tekken went through that phase of being relatively smaller, competitively speaking, scene. Didn't quite get the sales as well for a while, especially during Tekken Tag 2. So that, for me at that time, I felt like, oh, big news. Like, this is going to be 2 new games that, like, hopefully I'll care about, and that's super cool. And I really like that Tekken's getting some shine because it hasn't been on the come up lately. Now Tekken has been like on top. Like, it's not on the come up. Like, it's been on top for a while at this point. And there's a ton of other really good games. And Street Fighters probably we're gonna turn into Street Fighter 6 within the next couple of years. And SF5 has been in a good place for quite some time at this point. Like, we're talking about Strive. MK is doing great. There's just so many good games out right now. And it's not at all like it was during that period of time when I felt like there was relatively not as much. So I don't see the need for it anymore. I totally agree with you.
Yeah, so
totally fine if it never happens.
For me, it would have been like back then when they announced that Tekken could use the extra eyes and popularity boost by adding Street Fighter characters in there, but I just don't see that as a necessity anymore.
Definitely not.
I just don't see that as a thing that needs to happen. So
100% agree with you.
Okay.
All right. Well, unless you have anything else to say about this important topic, let's move on to the next one.
Sure don't.
Are you sure, Tubbleware? We have 30 seconds left.
Sure.
Okay, fine. All right. Well, if you insist.
What the hell is this?
Please play
this.
Please play this.
Please play this.
That's right.
Now, am I gonna
Street
get
Fighter 5 officially has the stank police.
Am I gonna get copyright infringed on this or something like this?
I don't know. I hope not. You can mute it because the sound doesn't really matter.
The sound does not matter. Okay, according to David. All right, let's get this.
No, that we can use this because it's reaction video.
Reaction video.
We can use it. That's
Is that how copyright law works?
That is.
I reacted to.
Okay, let's do it.
You should know that, David.
I reacted to a video a while ago and I still got YouTube copyrighted.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, then we're gonna get copyright. Oh, well,
all right.
we got
I'm
a
just
lawyer.
Gonna keep the volume low so we can talk over it, and so that way it won't be able to recognize it as easy. All right, let's do this. What is going on here?
There we go.
Street. Okay. Ryu, Zangief, Ryu. Oh, okay. Is that where this? I've seen this clip. I didn't know where it was from.
The smell.
The stank. It's the stank. Ryu's the stank police.
Oh my god.
He's trying to be.
Oh my god. I thought this was a mod or something. No, this is something that they actually made for a commercial.
Yeah, it's a real thing.
Oh my goodness. Oh, is he gonna... Oh, he's gonna super him with deodorant. Yo.
Ridiculous.
This is a commercial for the Japanese company Cow, who makes deodorant, I guess. And they got Street Fighter 5. And that's actually in the game. You can tell it's not like they just had some new graphics that were put on top of it. Like that they programmed the smelly jacket
smell
into the video game.
Yep. Well,
you know,
what do you think about that?
Good on them. Good shit. I mean, that to me is that's a successful ad campaign, I think. I think that's actually kind of hilarious, dude. At least it's like the actual game instead of, like you said, like some really janky thing where, you know, it's just like, or like some weird cartoon that doesn't make sense, you know? I mean, look, fighting games are popular in Japan, dude. They'll help sell stuff, so there you go.
the first time I saw it, before I realized what it was, I thought it was a really, really, really low taste humor that they made COVID a character. That was my initial thought. Because that Ryu was getting beat up by COVID, and it was supposed to be like, oh, FGC got bodied by COVID. And then I realized what it actually was. I was like, oh, okay. But that was like my first thought of like someone was mad. Yeah, I was gonna be outraged. I was ready to get on Twitter and yell at people. And, like I was ready to be mad, and then I was like, oh, it's the stank. Got it.
Well, I agree with folks in the chat. This is what I thought as well. Why is Ryu fighting against the deodorant? Isn't he homeless?
Yeah,
the man's never owned shoes in his life. He's not exactly the most hygienic of people, right? When was the last time Ryu took a shower? If you looked at that gi, it's pretty gross looking. This could have been Chun-Li. Chun-Li would have been a great pick for this. She's very well known. She's not as gross. Why not her? Could have been even Ken. Ken's not a wandering weirdo. You know, there could have been many other choices here. Why not Zangief? Do you know how much grooming it takes to get your body hair and your calf hair in exactly those spots only? The man must shave twice a day. He's shaving twice a day.
Look,
have you ever done that before? Have you shaved your chest hair to match Zangief?
Let me tell you, dude, back in the college days, everybody wanted me to shave my chest hair for the purposes of going to college football games and having one of the letters on the chest just be made out of hair.
Of course, yeah.
I refused.
By the way, this is official Capcom artwork, just so you know, right? So this is official Capcom artwork. So I just want you to know that Ryu actually does go to the... He does wash his clothes.
There he is to steal other people's clothes because he just doesn't have
it. Just patiently waiting for everyone to leave so he can go in the dryers.
Oh, man.
He has chin hair, but he's completely removed his calf hair. They're like shiny... I mean, that's not how mine are. I don't know about you guys. That's not how my calves look. Tubbleware's looking down just to check.
Yeah, same here.
All right. That's it about this
Bon-Chen
ad
and
campaign. I think it's kind of cool.
We're talking about what? Interesting. Okay. Anyways, okay. I mean, Tokido was in like a B&W commercial, wasn't he, or something like that? Or he was like in a car commercial, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was in a car commercial.
BMW, yeah.
Yeah,
BMW,
okay, yeah. There you go. I mean, shout outs to Tokido, right? I mean, he's doing big things right now.
All right, well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to have guest ApologyMan on to be talking with him about Strive, talk about his character. He plays Faust, the best character in the game. We'll talk about his background in fighting games. We'll talk about upcoming stuff as well.
All right, be right back,
Stay
guys.
around.
Everybody, welcome back to the Tuesday show. We have on our special guest today, ApologyMan, aka Vineeth. How are you doing, sir? How's it going?
Yo, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me. I'm actually like a huge fan of this show. I've been watching this show legitimately, like religiously, since like 2014. Like no joke. What? I've been watching it for a really long time. Yeah.
I never see you in the chat.
Man. Anytime you wanted to come on, you could have just been like, "Hey, bring me on."
Yeah,
I've been like, "All right."
I never posted it in like stream chat or whatever, but like I would just like watch your YouTube VODs of it because I drove Uber a lot and like I would go up to like San Francisco and then I'd have to drive back. So I was like, all right, I need something to listen to, and I was like, oh, let me listen to the UltraChen show. And then I just became like a huge fan, and I'd like watch basically every episode, like no joke.
Dang.
Thanks for watching our audio-visual program while you're driving. That sounds
I definitely was.
No, I do appreciate that. That's super cool. So Tupperware invited you on, which is really great, and we're going to be talking about Strive, and we'll talk about upcoming stuff as well. But as always, I think it's pretty cool to just start with your background in the FGC, how you got involved, when you started playing fighting games, and when that became something more competitive and serious for you.
Yeah. So I started actually with Super Smash Brothers Melee. I'm a Smash player. I know it's true.
When
but,
Ultimate came out,
like,
when Ultimate came out, you were entering tournaments. I remember, right? You were Lucario, I think, right?
Yeah, no, I've always been like a huge fan of like the Smash series. I've played in middle school with another friend of mine, really close friend of mine. We still compete in fighting games to this day, a 2 GB combo. I don't know if you're familiar with them in like Under Night, but yeah, we were like trading partners in like middle school. We played Melee together. We went to our first tournament together, and like I just got addicted since then. Nice. And over time, he was like, I don't really feel like playing Melee anymore. This game's kind of lame. And I was like, what do you mean? What are you going to do? He's like, yeah, I'm going to go play like Guilty Gear and BlazBlue. I'm like, this is lame. I'm going to keep playing Melee. And then like Brawl came out, and then like it kind of put Melee a little bit into like the dark ages at that time, the dark ages. But after that, I was like, you know what? I want to play with my boy. Like I'll try BlazBlue. I'll give it a shot. And I used to go to my local arcade in Sunnyvale Golfland and played BlazBlue, Calamity Trigger, and Continuum Shift, and that's kind of like what got me in my start for like traditional fighting games. And yeah, I've loved traditional fighting games ever since, like anime fighting games in particular. I stuck with the BlazBlue series for a really long time. Then I eventually went to Marvel vs. Capcom, which I think more people know me for. And I just the rest is history, I guess, right? From Marvel, I played that for like 7 years or something, like something crazy. And then Dragon Ball FighterZ came out, and that was like perfect amalgamation of my skills I had acquired up until that point. Right, anime and team-based fighting game.
Oh, that's
and
true.
Yeah, I'm still going. I'm still playing. It's been quite the ride.
All right, so before we get into the rest of this thing, pick one of the following two: BlazBlue or Guilty Gear.
It's BlazBlue. I'm sorry.
Wait. How many Guilty Gear games have you played though?
So I played a little bit of. I didn't play XX like that seriously. I played it like at the arcades and like just as like for fun on the side casually. I played Xrd like a decent amount. Like I didn't compete super hard, but like I did play it and I had fun. But BlazBlue is my legitimate, like that's almost like one of my favorite fighting games of all time. Right. Like Marvel 3 is my favorite, but like right under it is BlazBlue for me.
Well, Marvel 3 is everyone's favorite. It's the best fighting game of all time.
Come on. So you had a lot of success in some of those games, dude. And I'm curious how you would describe your coming to the place of having like that level of skill and talent in the game. How did you develop that?
Yeah, so I mean, me as a player, I am definitely a pretty like lab-based training mode monster type of player, right? I really like to grind out all the situations for like whatever weird, unique characters I like tended to be into, and that like over time, just I got better and better at just like learning how to play and like learn kind of more like weirder and unconventional strategies, and that's kind of like what I got addicted to, right? Like I played a pretty unpopular team in Marvel 3, but you know was really strong with Firebrand and Super Skrull, and like I've always like those types of characters I've always like really interested me, like just like the weirdos, you know. I just like them.
You just like putting stuff on the screen for the next person coming in so that they can't do anything, right?
Yeah,
because that's what Piccolo would do. Not Piccolo.
It's unconventional, but it's cheap too. Like I definitely love the cheap stuff, you know. So I've always just enjoyed that, and the self-expression that like playing all these like unique characters that fighting games give. So yeah, I've done that for so long, and I'll keep on doing it.
Is that something that you find with Lucario too? Is that part of the reason for that pick?
Yeah. I mean, he's my favorite Pokemon, just like aesthetically, I guess. But it's like mostly his playstyle. Like his playstyle is so unique in Smash. Like he can like changes momentum with his Aura Sphere cancels, and it's really really cool. So I've always enjoyed that about him. But yeah, he's like also like my favorite Pokemon.
That worked out pretty well. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you guys have any other questions about like his background before we start talking about Strive?
No, go ahead. Go with the Strive stuff here.
Yeah.
I mean, look.
Let's talk about Strive.
We were just talking about this earlier. I just found out now that you're a Faust player. What do you say to the claim that Faust might be the worst character in Strive right now?
I think Audrey's worse than him.
Oh, you do? Okay.
It's Faust. Yeah. So I don't think it's the exact worst, but he's definitely kind of struggling in this game. I think the top, it's more just like the top characters are just a little bit overtuned right now. I think with like just like a couple small tweaks in terms of like risk reward, he could be like a pretty strong character. But yeah, he's definitely at the bottom end. Like I do agree with that. But he has some relevant good matchups though. Like I don't think he's completely useless. Like he has like some pretty relevant good matchups. Obviously Potemkin, you know, is like a pretty obvious one. Like that's always been historically like a pretty decent matchup for Faust. Right. But I think Naguri Yuki he does pretty well versus as well. So I think that's a pretty important matchup.
How do you feel about the trumpet?
I hate it. It keeps me up at night. I hear the dudes like in my dreams. It's horrible.
We the boys.
It's horrible, right? Like you think the mini Fausts are your homies, like that they just gang up on you and fight against you. Like you think you know someone.
For people who aren't playing this game actively, what are we talking about?
Okay, so the new item that Faust got in Guilty Gear Strive is the trumpet. He basically throws this little trumpet forwards at the opponent, and it lands on the floor, and whoever grabs the trumpet gets a stampede of mini Faust that completely cover the ground. Whoever gets it basically kind of just wins the neutral there, right?
Yes.
The problem is Faust is throwing it at them. So they're closer to it, you know. So it's a lot of the times the other character is in a better position to grab the trumpet unless you have like kind of like a setup or there's like an item covering you ahead of time. But you know, it's RNG. You can't really plan for that. Generally, when Faust has gotten poor RNG, it would be like, oh, he got like helium or like food. It's not the end of the world, right? This is like the first item that like if you get unlucky, it can completely screw you over.
Yeah.
And that is such that like having that in his item bag, it makes him so volatile. Like it makes just playing neutral with it like really, really scary. You're just like throwing an item, just praying. Like, please, this is like trumpet. 90% of the time, like a good choice, and then like 10% of the time, I just like lose the ground game. Right. Like it's pretty terrifying, honestly. But
do you think there's a way that they could balance it a little better in Faust's favor without taking away your opponent's ability to pick it up first?
I honestly, you know, I feel like the developers, like when they made it, like this would be funny, right? This would be cool. I think it is super hard to balance as well. I honestly just throw the trumpet in the dumpster. I wouldn't mind, but if I were to change it, I would probably make it either appear closer to Faust and make it rarer, or just make it outright super duper rare. Like the frequency that trumpet appears right now is, I think, too high.
Dude, you know what they should do? They should make it so that mini Faust can pick it up for you.
I mean, that would require me to not to throw another item after throwing.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not gonna happen because once I throw the trumpet, it's like, oh no, okay, things have changed. We must now battle for the trumpet.
It forces the action. I mean, that's probably what it was designed to do, was to force people to come together on the trumpet. But it's just it's too much of a it's too much of a problem for Faust, honestly. So, but I mean, overall though, how do you feel about the game right now? Like you know, obviously coming into it, I mean, you've played a lot of the anime games. A lot of the anime players were worried that the game was going to be too simple, or it was going to be Guilty Gear for babies, kind of thing like that. Like, how do you feel about the game right now?
I'm having a lot of fun. You know, outside of obvious character balance issues, just viewing the game for like the system and its match flow and game itself, I think it's really fun. A really big thing, like regardless of fighting game mechanics that like any game has, if it has like an addicting match flow that makes me want to hit rematch, you're doing something right. I think Guilty Gear matches, they go really quickly. You know, you can just lose all your health instantly, and I like all the options that like lead up to like the wall breaks and like just like how aggressive the play is in the game in general. Like it's really fun, and it's really fast paced, and I think it makes the game play pretty addictive. I've been playing this game like a ton. The overall decisions of the game compared to past Guilty Gears. They're a little weird, like like the air dashes are a little bit different now, and it's gonna take some time getting used to. But once you get used to it, I think the game flow is really great with the wall breaks and like everything they've changed with Guilty Gear up until now.
When I'd first heard about the wall breaks, I was like, that's kind of bad but I actually find myself really enjoying the wall breaks. I don't know why, it makes me feel good smashing people through the wall.
I think it feels good. I mean, like, obviously, like, yeah, that feels good. But I just think playing neutral at Strive feels great.
Yeah.
So breaking the wall to go back to neutral, you're just like, oh, more fun, great. Can't wait to keep playing this game. It's so
you also
much fun.
play the most easy neutral character in the game. I'm just saying. So yeah.
Are you talking to me? Because you're right. As soon as that happens, I press the punch button, or I press the slash button, or whatever. Or I do charge back forwards slash.
Oh man.
Yeah, I play May.
Yeah, I like even like after breaking the wall, you get the meter bonus, right? I think using meter is one of the most like fun, enjoyable things in this game. I think the way you use VRC, PRC, like just like the RC system in general is incredibly fun to use. It's really, really well designed in Strive. I think this is like the RC system I like the most of like any Arc System Works game, honestly. So yeah, you get more meter, you get to do more of that. It's fun. It's cool.
Earlier on, you were talking about the self-expression that you feel with like the Marvel team or like Lucario and stuff. Do you feel that this game has that as well? Or if you don't feel it yet, do you feel that it could develop that?
Yeah, I mean, Guilty Gear has always been that kind of game where it has such unique characters that there's usually somebody that speaks to you. Like there's such unique character designs, and I think like even with just the base roster, there's a lot of like option. Like I feel like most people are finding the character that really speaks to them, even just with the characters that are out right now, the 15 that are out right now. I really like Faust. I've liked Faust since Exerd, so it's like I have always enjoyed like his playstyle in general. I think like adapting to the items is really fun, but they've added like some new things to him that I think are really fun as well. And I love the post command grab situation because he puts the afro on them. He gives him like a haircut and puts the afro on them. So like, that's like, I view that as like, oh, it's time for like Hellzone mix up. Like it's time to do 50-50s. And that is so fun for me, right? So it's like they combine this with like this element of Faust that I've already really enjoyed up until now. And yeah, there's just like tiny small changes they've added to Legacy Guilty Gear characters I think that are just really cool. Like Kai Shock State, yeah, just like there's a lot of nice changes to the current Guilty Gear cast I like a lot.
Talking about tier lists and stuff, obviously it's still so early. We're not even scratching the surface of what the tier lists are supposed to be, but like, what do you think right now? Who do you think you mentioned that some of the strongest characters need to maybe be toned down a little bit? Who are those characters in your mind?
Yeah, so I think it is early to say, right? Like I'm definitely not a fan of just being like, oh, he's the best. Just like, look, he just wins every matchup for sure. There's no counterplay. I'm not a huge fan of that, but I think there are some pretty like overtuned, like super obvious characters that are top tier. There's always like those top tier characters where it's like, there's potential here. Like, let's see how it develops. But I think right now, like the obvious top two, I think, are Ramlethal and Soul. I think that's what everyone is saying. Yeah, I think they are pretty absurd right now. I'm not gonna lie. But even outside of them, I think Chip is really good now too. Yeah. I think Chip is super insane also. But and May as well. I think those four are like kind of the most egregious characters in my opinion right now.
Egregious.
Yeah.
Earlier on, we were looking at some of the tier lists that some Japanese players are putting out, and they did have Chip really high. Some of them had him in S tier. A couple of them had him in S tier.
Everybody had him in top 5.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Does that? I guess I hadn't heard people say that in the U.S. until maybe just a couple days ago. Even do you feel like that's something that's already changing? There's already sort of different takes on it. Last week, I felt like I was hearing more about Leo and I don't know, somebody else who I'm forgetting now. Chip. I didn't hear
Giovanna was, I think, the other one.
Gio. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. No, yeah, for sure. I think there's a lot of like contenders for even just like the kind of like the tier below. I think Ram and Soul I think are much like a step above like most characters. But I think that is like interesting though. Like I think that the take on Chip has been changing a lot. I do think there's a lot more representation of Chip now that more people are seeing like how good he is. But yeah, I think Chip is like very, very strong for sure.
I mean, it was crazy because, you know, when the betas were coming out and everyone was like, Chip seems so nerfed and not good. And then we had we saw the Red Bull exhibitions and I saw Samito play and I was like, wait, he looks exactly like he did in all the other games that he played Chip. I was like, what the heck, dude? What is happening over here? So, I mean, it's... For me, it's exciting because, you know, I feel like when I lose to Leo, when I lose to Eno, when I lose to Chip, when I lose to Milia, I feel like I'm losing the same way I kind of lost to them in the previous games, too. You know, as much as everybody said the characters have been changed, so, like, taking away all their fun stuff. Like, a lot of it feels kind of similar.
It could be that this game is Guilty Gear, potentially. Could it be
weird.
Real Guilty Gear?
It's weird that it's the game that's in the title. It's really odd.
I feel you.
Was that your feeling during the betas? What was your impression of the game at that time, and has it changed since the game came out?
I don't think it's changed too much. They've made a couple like pretty nice changes. They added a frame on landing recovery since the betas. I think that was like a pretty good change. They changed how air dashes work throughout the betas as well. It's the game has changed like for sure since the betas, but I think the overall like the high damage, like the overall match flow is like kind of basically the same, honestly.
Okay.
Like I do like the changes though, especially the landing recovery change. I think that was like a very, very important change they made. If you can like target your opponent's landing recovery, regardless, you don't have to hit a button. They jump, and if you hit them like on the last 2 frames, you can get a punish on them. I think that's really big.
Yeah.
Talk to me about Anji. You mentioned him as the character you think is weaker than Faust, and like 15 minutes before that, James was like, "I think everybody is underrating Anji."
Oh, really? Okay.
Yep.
So the thing, right, is like Anji does a lot of damage, right? That's kind of like his. That's like a big thing that he has going for him. I unfortunately think his Fujin follow-ups, I don't think the risk reward on them are really that good right now. I think there's too much counterplay to like how much reward he gets for doing his Fujin follow-ups. I don't think they're that good. He has a 6-frame button on top of all that. Like he has like pretty slow movement in general. And he like having a 6-frame button right now is so bad. It is so miserable because the throw. I'm gonna get like frame data nitty gritty, but there's throw invincibility in this game. And it's 5 frames, and if your fastest button is 6 frames, that means you can get meaty thrown out of your jab. It's like Street Fighter V, basically.
Right. Gotcha.
So there are 4 characters in this game that are playing Street Fighter V. Faust is one of them. It sucks. And I think it's like crazy that Anji of all characters has that, like, you know, I feel like he deserves it the least.
Who are the 4 characters? I actually don't know.
So it's Faust, Anji, Zato, Axel. Oh, actually, it's 5. Milia. Yeah, those are the 5. Yeah.
Milia.
Yeah, Milia is one of them as well.
Dang. Okay.
Yeah, and by contrast, if you aren't aware, people in the chat, the fastest are 3 frames. There's a couple of those, and then there's like a few each of 4 and 5.
Right.
As the fastest button for the character.
Yeah, they could probably lower Soul's kickback to 5 frames and from.
Yeah, that'd be nice. I'd like that.
So, what do you see yourself doing in this game? Is this the kind of game that you feel that you're going to be taking seriously? Are you still going to be taking Dragon Ball seriously? What are your plans right now?
So, you know, like this game just came out and everyone's in the honeymoon phase, right? Everyone's just playing the game. It's new, it's fun. So I'm the same way, right? I'm learning a lot, and I don't know, honestly. I will play fighting games as long as I'm having fun with them. That's how I've always been. I've never been the type of person to be like, oh man, I gotta play it, that's where the money is. Like, that's never been me. Like, I've always just played what I enjoyed, and I'll continue doing that. I'm enjoying Guilty Gear a lot, so I'm gonna continue playing it. And the same for Dragon Ball. Like right now, you know, I'm playing mostly Guilty Gear, but I still love Dragon Ball a lot. I'm registered for CEO, and yeah, I plan to like compete and practice for that as well.
Okay, so in that case, if you are planning to do both of those, how do you handle trying to play multiple games competitively? That's not easy to do. People are taking individual games seriously and focusing hyper much on them. As somebody who wants to play multiple, or who really has been playing multiple, but how do you get along with that?
Yeah, so I actually had some issues with that in the past. When I was playing, it was like Marvel 3. There was like an Evo that I went to. It was Marvel 3, BlazBlue, SF5, and Smash 4. I entered like four, like those are like the 4 matches, right? So, you know, when they make pools, they try to at least make round 1 pools not collide. But it's hard to plan for round 2 pools, which I made round 2 pools for like all those games. And then I was like, I had to play 3 pools at the same time for like 3 different games. I was like, I actually cannot do this like whatsoever.
Yeah,
like I was not having fun.
Melt.
It was too much, yeah. And I felt like I was spreading myself thin because, you know, my main game was still Marvel 3, which is what I wanted to do the best in. And I was like, you know, like putting my GameCube controller away, like walking across like the venue to like play F Champ. I'm just like, this is not it, man. Like, so I definitely had to make some changes with Dragon Ball specifically. When Dragon Ball came out, I was like, okay, Vinny, I am going to you're not going to play multiple games. You're going to just focus on Dragon Ball and do your best and just put all your focus into it. And it gave me like really good results. Like
That's awesome.
think that change was really important for me. But I want to see if I can do 2. You know, I don't know, honestly. It's been like 2 years since I've just focused on a singular game, since I've gone back to like playing like multiple. So we'll see. I'll do my best.
Well, speaking of Dragon Ball, are you worried about the game's future at all? I mean, obviously you played Marvel 3 that had no support whatsoever. So I would assume you probably don't. But I mean, are you worried about, you know, developer support ending for that game?
No, not actually. So the future of the game competitively, I have no fear whatsoever. There's such a dedicated fan base for that game, and people people love Dragon Ball, and people have there's just like a huge base for it. Like I don't think that game is going anywhere anytime soon in general. But I also think there is potentially still developer support for it. Like I actually haven't even given up on that. Okay. I don't think there'll be like, because I don't have any inside info. Like I'm just FYI. But like I'm just saying. Like I theorize that there might be potentially, because they did mention like supporting the game later a little bit, like in I think like announcements, and I think that could be like balance patches. You know, like the thing that everyone wants is obviously rollback netcode for the game, and I would love that as much as the next guy, but you know, the game has already like made its money, so I wouldn't hold my breath for it. Like I don't think financially it's like probably like the thing that's best for them. Probably. If they do it, oh my god, I would go insane.
I mean, what's funny is
I feel like a balance patch would happen.
Okay. I mean, what's funny is you kind of had to throw out that caveat because Bandai Namco has literally tasked you with like some of the character showcases and stuff like that. I mean, what did that mean to you? Like, how does that feel being like the guy who gets to go on the show, you know, where new character come out and you get to demo the character for the world, you know? I mean, how did that happen?
No, yeah, it's honestly, it's a real privilege, and it's so awesome, and I can't thank Bandai enough for letting me have the opportunities to do that. But yeah, no, it's awesome. Like I really work my hardest on it too. Like I don't just like take as like, oh cool, I get to play the character. Like I really like focus and try to break down the character as much as I can, and like learn as much as I can to provide like the info about the character the best way possible for the showcase. So I'm happy that, you know, like Bandai was like happy with my work to like keep continuing to have me on for like all the showcases. And you know, yeah, like I enjoy doing it. Like it's really cool. I love labbing like fighting game characters. It's awesome. Like it's just like a huge passion of mine. So it's cool to be recognized by like the company that like makes awesome. the games to like let me even do that. It's honestly like really awesome.
Talk to me about what is coming up. What's this upcoming event?
Oh yeah. So we have this Saturday at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. EST. We are having the North America versus Japan 10v10 Guilty Gear Strive exhibition. So it is something that I am working with Arxis and Red Bull. They are sponsoring the event and it's being run on my stream. We are going to have a online 10v10, and it's going to be really sick. The players on both sides, like it's very stacked. It's going to be a really good treat to watch. A lot of the matches I think it's gonna be close, and I think it's gonna be really competitive too. So we have me and Sage-M on for commentary, so it'll be a good show if you want to come by. It's twitch.tv/ApologyMan. It'll be cool. Come through on Saturday.
Yeah. Have you played people in Japan? What do you feel like that connection is?
It's good. Well, for West Coast, it's actually not as far. Like I feel like it's like the same connection as like East Coast players sometimes. No joke. It's really good, and I actually even had like good experiences with rollback in like Marvel Infinite with Cyber Japan Agent. He's actually like the first like Japanese player I've ever played in rollback, and I was like, this is amazing, right?
Yeah.
And now that like I'm playing a fighting game that has like really good rollback again, like it's the same thing. Like it just is great. If you're from like the West Coast, like playing to Japan, it's very, very good. It's incredible. It's very good. The MS is not like absurdly high. It's very playable. Right.
Yeah, that's actually my experience as well. I've played a little bit against people in Japan, and
oh dang, okay.
Wouldn't have known it except for just like their info saying that they're Japan. But other than that, like it's felt normal. Yeah.
I played Japan from the Midwest, so. Yeah, that's
even more. Nice. Yeah, crazy.
I saw Zynak in the chat earlier, so bless Zynak and his team over there. So, but I mean, Zynak. You mentioned, obviously twitch.tv/ApologyMan, exactly as you see it on the stream over there. Any other places? Like what else do you want to plug for yourself?
I'm trying to work on my YouTube a little bit more. I'm going to be posting a Faust, like a really conducive Faust item guide. I'll actually even have I'm going to post some of the percentages of the item RNG with like a lot of data science and statistics behind it. It'll be cool, and it's going to kind of show you how to use all the items as well for Faust. I'm going to be posting that on my YouTube soon, so you can check me out on youtube.com/ApologyMan, and I post on Twitter pretty often as well, as you can see updates about like whatever like streams, content, or whatever dumb stuff I do on my Twitter at twitter.com/ApologyMan.
How's Beast Coast going?
Great. It's actually been like over like almost 3 years, or it has been 3 years. Yeah, I've been on the team. Yeah.
Wait, what's going on?
They're a great team.
I didn't know you were part of Team Beast Coast. Okay.
Yeah. No, they've been able to.
Okay. I didn't know.
They've been able to support me. No, it's fine. It's like
these guys here are just like shaking their heads at me.
Since like Dragon Ball and like the first 3 months, like they sponsored me, and they've just been able to support me, and like I've been able to like just live like from their support. It's awesome.
Nice.
It's honestly a dream come true, and yeah, shout out to Beast Coast.
Really cool.
Now,
cool, man. Well, good luck on the commentary.
Oh yeah, and before we go,
good luck on commentary.
Oh, thank you. I'm gonna do my best, David. I'm gonna do my best. I won't let you down, David. I won't let you down.
And before we go, as I've said in past weeks, one thing that I always want to close out with our interviews is, where did ApologyMan come from? Where did that name come from?
Hello, Jumpman.
Okay, so it's tiny bit of a story. So before, when I played Smash Melee, my name was not ApologyMan. It was Wall Jumpman. It's because I liked Mario, and his name in Donkey Kong was Jumpman. Mm-hmm. And I liked wall jumping in Mario Sunshine. So I was like, it'll be really funny and cool and not cringe. Wall Jumpman. That'll be my name. That's it. Cringe. That's the one. And that's what I was for a really long time in BlazBlue. And it wasn't until I went to a BlazBlue local. I played a player who's a good friend of mine now, but not at the time. We played a match, and I won in like of scummy way. You know, I had no business winning it. I was losing. I got a knockdown with Hakumen, and he has a super. If you full charge it, it becomes unblockable. It's so gimmicky. You literally can like get out of it in like 80 million ways. But if you don't see it coming, it just unblockables you and does like half your health. And I beat him that way, and I felt like garbage. I was like, hey, I'm really sorry. I had to win that way. I just kept saying sorry for saying sorry, and he was not having it whatsoever. He was so bad. He was just like, are you really apologizing for are you apologizing for me for beating me? Are you serious? Like, yeah, man. And his friend had to like cool him off. I was like, okay, I'm sorry. I kept saying sorry. It made it worse. The next local, I see him and his boys. They start heckling me, right? They started heckling me for like the dumbest stuff. I was like playing a match and I like dropped a combo and they're like, oh, say you're sorry, Vinny. Why don't you say you're sorry? I like dropped my wallet on the floor and they're like, oh, say sorry to the floor, Vinny. Why don't you say you're sorry? Like they were just beating. I was getting so annoyed. And eventually my friend said it. They shouldn't call you Wall Jump Man. They should call you Apology Man.
Boom.
And
Boom.
It stuck since then.
And forever after.
That's amazing. Yeah. I love it. Again, another example of the names that you don't make on purpose that you just kind of end up stuck with. So,
Did you ever try to sign up with something other than Apology Man, and then they just like penciled in Apology Man?
Yeah, a couple tournaments after, yeah. Actually, a little bit, yeah.
Nice.
And then there was like, "Now you're Apology Man." Like, honestly, it was fitting. I said when I was younger, and even now, I said sorry way too much. I was just so
dude, my roommate gets mad at me because I apologize for everything. He's always like, "Stop!" I'm one of the people who apologizes for apologizing too much. So I'm right there with you. So.
Billy James, yeah.
Apology, granddad.
Yeah, exactly. I'm apology, granddad. Although I will say this, I haven't done it in many years, but I have eaten cereal with warm milk before. I will just say that I have in the past. So, but I haven't done it in years.
Both of you need to go live on an island together. Get out of here.
I mean, I've done that, but it's on accident. It's like I pour myself a cereal and put milk in it, and then like I get distracted for a while, and I come back, and it's like, well, I guess it's more milk time, but all right. It's not like a chosen thing. All right, get out of here.
All right.
Thanks a lot for joining us. Good luck
with
it.
Thanks
I'll
for
definitely be
having me.
tuning in. Thank you.
And have
Good
fun
luck on
listening.
commentary, man.
Have fun
Thanks,
listening to yourself on the YouTube VOD. So, all right.
Yeah, you get to listen to yourself now.
Oh, sweet, yeah, dude.
All right. Shout outs to Vineeth. Thanks for having him stop by here. Good talk here. And always happy to see guys like him, find that kind of success and having Bandai Namco actually like use him for the demos for Dragon
really cool.
Ball. I think that's super cool.
For sure. Shout outs to him. Okay. Ooh. Oh, it's getting darker out there, huh?
Get a little dark, yeah.
Well, it's about to get darker because we've passed the solstice, so sorry,
True.
but we're now on the downward slope. All right, 5-5 matchup time. We're going to be doing one of our own, then we'll get to the viewer questions. However, the viewer questions may be weird due to the voting, which we'll get to because I can't email anybody on Twitch anymore, yada, yada. Let's get to this one first. So, what are your thoughts on 3 out of 5 in tournament play? That's right, we're talking about the 3 out of 5 thing again. We're rolling it out of the closet. We're getting rid of all the mothballs on it. It's always in there. I mean,
this one's not
for yet another stroll.
This one's not even necessarily about Guilty Gear. This one kind of came up because Brian F was talking about it for Street Fighter V, and a lot of people started bringing it up for Street Fighter V that we should do 3 out of 5. One of the reasons being that, for example, in the Midwest, which you just commentated, David, like there was a lot of matches that went up 2-0, and then the person made the comeback, and then it went to the last game, and it was super hype. So, the argument is that 3 out of 5 kind of creates a better viewing experience, that you have these more potential for comebacks and it's more hype. And then, of course, there's also the conversation on should Guilty Gear be 3 out of 5 because of the high damage? Should it be 3 out of 5 rounds and 2 out of 3 because of the high damage, etc., etc.? So, what are your thoughts on this right now, David, as a person who just commentated that Midwest and had the exciting 0-2 comebacks and stuff like that? What do you think about, like, should top 16 CPT also be 3 out of 5, etc., etc.?
Well, I guess I don't see why top 16 isn't 3 out of 5 because they're all being streamed.
Right.
And it's not like it like slows down the tournament. Well, I guess it does because it's up to 5 games rather than up to 3. But what I mean is that you're you're going to have it slow anyway because it's all streamed, right? You're not running things simultaneously. So I guess I don't really know why it's not, but I also don't think that it's super important for either thing that people are talking about, right? So one of the things that they're talking about is, as we have talked about a billion times, the more games a set lasts, the more likely you are to get the better player to move on. Okay. As we've often talked about, I think that's not actually correct. I think instead you take people who are better in 2 out of 3 and make it worse for them because there are people who are better in 3 out of 5. And it's just a question of prioritizing people who are better off the jump, people who are better at adapting, or whatever. Like, they're just 2 different skill sets. And I don't necessarily have an opinion on which one is the better, which means the better player. Like, whatever. But then on top of that, as far as the hype goes, it is super sick and hype to see somebody make the comeback from being down 2-0 to win 3-0. For sure. It doesn't happen very often. But maybe more to the point, it's also not super sick and awesome to see somebody get dunked 3 games in a row, which I don't know the stats on this. Tubbo, I think, said he's got some stats, but I don't know if that happens more or less frequently than a comeback from 0-2. I would suspect it happens more often that somebody wins 3-0. And those can be fun, but like it's in my mind, it kind of washes out, it kind of balances out which one's cooler. It's cool to see somebody win a set from down 1-0 and then win 2 in a row. That's pretty cool. And in the case of winning 2-0, well, I didn't have to sit through 3 games. It was only 2, which means that I can move on faster and maybe watch a more interesting match if I'm just from the viewer perspective. So I don't really see either way as being super important. I'm also not like particularly opposed to it either. I don't feel like it's some big important position that I have some like ideology on or whatever like that. It's just, for most of a tournament, as everybody knows, it's just impractical for it to be a longer set. I think everybody like understands that. In top 16, I don't know why it's not 3 out of 5 particularly if top 8's 3 out of 5. Other than that, I feel like I don't have a strong opinion on this, really. It's like my grand conclusion.
Thanks.
Oh, it's right in the middle there, David. That was
that's 5 minutes. 5 minutes to say, 5 minutes to say it doesn't matter. What about you, Tubo? What do you feel?
Filibustering us. I feel like, I mean, I said what I felt earlier on Twitter. Mortal Kombat 11, 3 out of 5. MVCI, 3 out of 5. And the most wild one, Killer Instinct, is 3 out of 5. All of those games, for sure, 100%, take longer to finish than Strive would a 3 out of 5. So if those games are all standard 3 out of 5, then why the hell shouldn't Strive and Street Fighter 5 be 3? Why shouldn't most games be 3 out of 5? I think the only modern fighting game being played right now that I wouldn't want to see a 3 out of 5 is Dragon Ball. Because that game takes forever. Other than that, I don't... If KI can run 3 out of 5 at Combo Breaker with 300, 200 some entrants, like... Yeah, we can run 3 out of 5 for every game, including Strive, which has been, on my timeline, the most talked about, because I don't follow too many Street Fighter 5 players. But yeah, I just don't see why we shouldn't. Now... The science I was talking about is James and I were talking about this a little bit earlier off stream, and he was like, well, some Guilty Gear players have proposed playing 3 out of 5, or some players are playing 3 out of 5 rounds, but 2 out of 3 games is what they're proposing. It's the same amount of maximum amount of rounds, you dummies. Like, it doesn't, mathematically, you're not saving time. Just play 2 out of 3 rounds, 3 out of 5 games. That way you don't have to change the burst meta. Because if you play 3 out of 5 rounds, it's going to mess up when you want to burst compared to 2 out of 3 rounds. So instead of screwing with that, just play 3 out of 5. I think every game, minus maybe like Dragon Ball, should be 3 out of 5 because logistically it works.
Right.
That's all.
I mean, the one advantage, so Tiny Tech says there's less stops in between games if you do 3 out of 5 rounds, 2 out of 3 games. But at the same time, 2 out of 3 rounds for 3 out of 5 games also allows for higher character variety because people might be willing to experiment with other characters. The biggest,
make for a better viewer experience.
Yeah, the biggest con to going 3 out of 5 for a tournament, the entire tournament. Now, this is not the case for CPT because in top 16, the scenes are small. So a lot of the clutch matches right now are happening in the top 16. And we stream all of the matches once we get to top 16. But at big tournaments like CEO, like EVO, like Combo Breaker and such, a lot of the best matches happen during semifinals because it's just going to happen that Smug and Daigo are going to run into each other like 7 rounds before, we get to top 8. 5 rounds before we get to top 8, that happens. And the biggest problem with 3 out of 5 is while that doesn't necessarily make the tournament run longer theoretically, like it's not a significant increase, it does reduce the number of matches we see on stream. And that's the biggest negative right there, is that means a lot of those awesome semifinals matches are going to happen off stream, and a lot of people are going to be mad about that.
That is true.
That's true. It's a good point.
Again, let's just do it differently for everything, right? So CPT doesn't have to do that because it's not the same kind of tournament, etc., etc. So top 16 right now at CPT, that's 12 matches, goes about 3 hours, right? And then top 8, which is 3 out of 5, which is a max of 10 to 11 matches, goes about 4 hours. So, basically if we did top 16 that way, we would probably extend top 16 from 3 hours to 4 hours, right? Now, does that get to the point where we start affecting viewership? Does viewership enjoy sitting there for the 4 hours watching, or do they like the fact that they only need to dedicate 3 hours to watch the top 16 and then they can dedicate all the time 4 hours for the top 8, which is, where things get more considerably hyped because obviously it's the best players? I'm asking the question because I don't know the answer. I have no empirical evidence one way or the other. Speaking as a commentator, sometimes having top 16 go by in 3 hours as opposed to 4 is kind of nice sometimes. But at the same time, as a spectator, I wonder if people would be less willing, or maybe even to go check the VODs out, because now you got to dedicate 4 hours to watch the VODs for the top 16 and then 4 hours for the top 8, I don't know.
I mean, if you're watching the VODs, which I do often because a lot of these are broadcast at times when I'm not awake,
right?
You just fast forward through 60% of the time, right? I mean, honestly, like all the breaks. Whenever the Ultra Davids are talking, I'm out of there. I'm just going right through to where the actual matches are happening.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's true, dude.
No, it's definitely true. It's just like
whenever the Ultra Davids are talking.
L is your best friend key when it comes to watching things on YouTube, right? It's just like 10 seconds, 10 seconds, 10 seconds, 10 seconds, 10 seconds, 10 seconds. It's basically all it is. So
today I learned that L works.
Yeah,
I use the arrow keys.
So the arrow keys on YouTube are 5 seconds.
Yeah.
JKL are 10 seconds, and K is pause and play. So you can do the entire thing with JKL, and then you can also use the arrow keys in combination with the JKL, so you can skip fast, and if you don't want to skip back all the way 10 seconds, you can skip back 5 seconds with the arrow keys to shoot the difference in between. So there you go.
Well, howdy do.
Alrighty.
Wow, I could have swore everybody knew the JKL ones.
I just don't watch enough YouTube, I guess. I just watch
that makes
stuff,
sense.
and I don't want to miss anything.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah. I don't want to miss any minutes.
Yeah. To be honest with you,
my Carl Sagan 42 videos that I watch.
Dude, Carl Sagan 42 is the greatest. He's so
we probably
good.
shouldn't get this sidetracked.
Yeah,
It was way off topic.
But
I do like the.
No,
yeah,
go ahead. Go ahead. My comment.
I was gonna say, I think you made a couple of nice points there. I would also say, though, I see people in the chat saying in 3 out of 5 you get to see more characters. I think you said something that sounded like the opposite to me. For 3 out of 5, I can see that you might get more characters in the sense that somebody might try a character out thinking, okay, well, if I lose this, I'm still going to have 2 more games that I can play in with my main. However, in 2 out of 3, you get to see characters succeed that may be less likely to succeed, but obviously in any one interaction, you don't know how it's going to go, right? So the fewer interactions there are, the more a wild character can succeed. In a best of one, you get wild things happening like used to happen in like Third Strike Japan Ranbats, where bizarre characters would win because you just make a few decisions and you beat Chun-Li. Oh well, but if that was like a 3 out of 5, you're absolutely never gonna beat that character.
Right.
So in one way, I think you can see more characters, but in other ways, I think you would see more characters the other way.
Yeah. So I think something important we haven't really been talking about is we keep talking about the viewership. The tournaments are for the players first. Viewership is secondary. I mean, maybe not for TOs of major events, but when it comes down to it, we need to make the best decision for the players. And I think the players want to see 3 out of 5.
Well, I think that's definitely true in a lot of cases. I mean, the reason that MK is 3 out of 5 is only because the users were like, well, how come it's like that? Injustice was 3 out of 5, so we should just keep doing it. And at first, the TOs were like, why? Like, it doesn't need to be. And it doesn't need to be. Actual fact, for sure. Mortal Kombat 11 does not need to be a 3 out of 5 in any sense. But the players, wanted it. Right. And so, okay. I mean, that's really all that it comes down to. I think one nice reason to have 3 out of 5 is that if you are somebody who goes 0-2, you get more games to play. A little bit more time before you're out of there. And at the very top, like I said, I think for some players, having 3 out of 5 is positive because you have people who are better at adapting. But for other people, having a 2 out of 3 is better because they're better at coming out of the gate. And then they have maybe some strong strategy that can be adapted to, but in a short set, less likely. Mm-hmm. I don't have a preference. To me, it seems like subjective to say one of those is better than the other. Mm-hmm. Yeah, right? I don't think that's really true.
I don't even think that it boils down to the person that comes back from a 2-0 deficit to win 3-0 adapted better. Yeah. I don't even think that's necessarily true. It could just be the guy or gal that was up 2-0 is a choke artist. You know? But there's so many other factors that could.
But that could happen.
Come into
that too, and it does.
Of course, it could. But being up 1-0 is a bit different from being up 2-0, right? 2-0 is more of a demanding lead, so I consider you more of a choke artist at 2-0 than a 1-0.
The only thing that I want to add to this is that I actually don't agree anymore. Like, if you hit me 10 years ago, I would have said the same thing, but I don't agree anymore that tournaments are more about the players than the viewers. I actually think it's 50-50 now. I don't think
well, James, never run a major. It'll flop, dude. I mean, I'm just telling you. But that's the thing. It's got to be about the attendees first.
Well, that's the thing, though, is a lot of people are doing it for the viewers now. I mean, you think Red Bull does all that crazy production stuff, the Red Bull Kumite?
That's invitational stuff. That's different. That's much different.
But here's the thing about it is, the more viewers, the better sponsorships, the better you reward the players. But Red Bull
is the sponsor, James.
Right, but I'm saying
that's them.
I'm saying for other events, though. For the other events, the more numbers you get, the more ability you have to reward the players. It's not as...
I'll just say this. Evo and Combo Breaker and CEO didn't become what they were because they cared about the viewers first. They always cared about the players first.
I will again say no, because there was one point when streaming first started at Evo. I still remember Tom Cannon was like, the tournament goes on whether the stream dies or not. It's the tournament first. It's the tournament first.
Yeah.
A few years later, he was like, oh, that's definitely not true anymore.
Well,
but it's not, to be fair, it's not 50-50. It's 70-30 or something.
Yeah.
For finals day, that may be a different story when they're in the arena. Mm-hmm. And it's probably a different story for things like Red Bull. But the vast majority of tournaments are going to get 0 viewers or 10 or 100. And that can't be the focus. It has to be for the players.
Right, for small stuff. For smaller stuff.
There are like 5. There are just a few comparatively big tournaments, honestly, that can be thinking about viewers, I think.
Yeah.
So, anyway. All right.
Yeah. Moving on.
All right, that was a little bit more interesting than I kind of thought it would be. All right, let's move on to the viewer questions from 5. Now, as I mentioned,
I didn't set up the viewer questions at all. That's my bad. I totally forgot to set this up.
I mentioned this last time, but It is, of course, part of the 5-5 matchup idea that we send out a poll to our subscribers and our Patreon supporters and let them vote on which topics they want to talk about. Well, I can send them out to the Patreon supporters still, but I no longer can do that for Twitch. It's no longer a functionality on their website. Great. So, sorry, everybody. Bummer. I don't really know what to do about that. But so it is. So it's just Patreon folks who did it, and here was their results. Well, I should read them first. All right, number 1. What fighting game will be the game to bring back the coast rivalries and country rivalries? Number 2. What are your thoughts on 3 out of 5 in tournament play for Strive? How about 4 out of 7 finals? Absolutely not. There needs to be a line drawn somewhere. I'm not sitting through hour-and-a-half grand finals. It just can't happen. It can't happen. And it did used to happen. Number 3. How do you go from beginner to advanced? Once you learn a few B&Bs and an Oki setup, it can carry you pretty far. I can never take my game to the next level past that. Opening people up who are better than me can be hard sometimes. Number 4. Are there archetypes in commentary? If yes, what are they? And how does the chemistry between them work? 5. As I've played Strive and played Axel, I noticed my spacing and neutral has gotten a lot better. My question is, would it be wise to tell newcomers to try out zoners to learn how to deal with spacing and such concepts? And number 6, should the FGC ban handshakes in tournaments out of health or other concerns? Shout out to the person who resubmitted this. It's gotten 0 votes twice in a row, but I encourage you to keep trying.
I mean, honestly, these are really good questions. I actually like all of the questions. I kind of want to answer them all. So
guess what? There's a big old tie between 3 of them.
3 of them, huh? Okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're getting fewer votes because, like, a lot of people can't vote.
Well, so do we want to change it just to have the audience participation vote for on stream from now on? It's not hard to set up the polls and everything, and it's kind of neat to see it.
I guess. I mean, it was nice because I felt like there was, like, a reason to be a subscriber.
Right, of course, but obviously that's kind of messed up now. So,
no, we can actually turn the voting in the chat on for subs only. That's an option.
That's true.
But we could also, maybe we should do that in the future. How about for this time, we just do those 3 that are tied?
Yes, that's what I was about to say. Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Just do the votes between the 3 that are tied, basically. Let's see if I can set this up really quick here. Wasn't expecting to set this up. So, which numbers are the ones that are tied right now, David?
Number 1. Number 3 and number 4.
Number 3 and number 4. All right. So I'm going to create the poll over here. It is exclamation mark 1, exclamation mark 2, exclamation mark 3 to pick which one you want to vote for. The voting should be ready to go. So you guys should be able to start voting with those exclamation mark 1, exclamation mark 3, and exclamation mark 4. I'll leave the questions on the screen so you can see which ones. Anybody in the chat can vote right now.
Do it!
Just type it in the chat.
What fighting game will be the game to bring back the coast rivalries and country rivalries? Number 3, how do you go from beginner to advanced? Once you learn a few B&Bs and an Oki setup, it can carry you pretty far. I can never take my game to the next level past that. Opening people up who are better than me can be hard sometimes. Number 4, are there archetypes in commentary? If yes, what are they? And how does the chemistry between them work?
This is my hype poll music here, so we won't get DMCA here. I think the people who are subs can actually vote for 2. I think that's what it was. That's right. If you are a sub, you can actually vote for 2.
Dang, you get
there you go.
So much power. You have ranked choice voting. Shout outs to Twitch.
Yo, speaking of, what happened in New York today?
I don't know. It's a good question.
Wait, what do you mean? What happened?
They
had their mayoral election.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, and they had.
Well, it looks like the middle one won, guys. Let's cut it.
Well, it looks like it's going to be 3 and 4. I think is what it's going to be at this point in time. Yeah, they're at 30. Look at that. Look at that. 3 and 4. Yeah, 3 and 4 are tied. So those are the 2 that we'll do right there. 3 and 4.
Are we doing 2 or 1? We're supposed to do 1.
We're planning to do 2 because there's.
Oh, we're doing 2. Great.
Yeah, we're doing 2 questions. Yeah. Okay.
All right, cool. Let's do number 3 first then.
How
do you go from beginner to advanced? Once you learn a few B&Bs and an Oki setup, it can carry you pretty far. I can never take my game to the next level past that. Opening people up who are better than me can be hard sometimes. What do you folks have to say?
All right.
They answered their own question in their question.
Okay.
Once I learn a few things, I can get pretty far. How do I get past that? Learn a few more things, bud.
What things you learn is the question.
You're obviously going to need more than one Oki setup if your issue is opening up people that are better than you. But my suggestion is they probably actually need to learn how to play neutral. And learning how to play neutral is a very deep, tough discussion that we don't have time for right now. But generally, if you feel like you're being outclassed completely and totally, it's because you're already losing in the neutral. It's not because your Oki is bad or your combos are bad or anything like that. It's probably because someone's jumping in on you and you're not anti-airing them. It's probably because someone is counter poking you. It's probably because someone is whiff punishing you. So learn the neutral. If you feel like you got all the Oki setups and all the combos that you can get at the level you're playing at, then it's time to learn the neutral.
Right. For me, the way to get from beginner to advanced is to learn that it's not just about the game, right? I mean, if you're worried about, tricks, Oki, combo, etc., you're going to basically be stuck in beginner. The way to get to advanced is you start remembering that you're playing against another human being, and another human being is flawed and has patterns and will do things repetitively like anybody else. You start understanding how to play so that every decision that you make is based off of something that you read off of your opponent. Instead of going like, I do the fireball trap because that works with Ryu, but if you recognize your opponent is a jump spammer, then you'll be like, I'm just gonna stand where he jumps all the time, kind of things like that. Once you start learning to play the person and understanding that you're fighting against another human being and being able to recognize their patterns, understanding key moments, telling the storylines of the decisions they make during those key moments, etc., that's gonna be the most important thing to get you from beginner to advanced, in my opinion. David?
I think those are really good answers. I don't know that I have a ton to say beyond them. I mean, to me, it seems that the thing that drags people really from being beginner to advanced is the drive. What the people who I've seen have the most success are, or not just even speaking in terms of people who win tournaments, but people who just like get good at games. It's the drive. It's both the competitive drive and it's the love of the game. It's really rare to see somebody succeed in a game without liking it, or at least like if that's their first game, they're not going to learn. Maybe They can then apply those skills to something else later. But as far as the first game that you get good at, it's because you love it and it's because you have that competitive drive. And I guess I kind of think it's important for people to like not feel bad if they don't feel that way. If you don't feel that you have that drive, it doesn't mean that you're somebody who you're not less valid or whatever for having that. Personally, my goal is not to win Evo, right? I don't think the three of us have that goal.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, you do. Okay, fair enough. For me, it's not, I guess, is all I'll say. But I have other goals instead. And setting those goals is something that I find is helpful to get me to a certain place. And then once I'm there, I can reevaluate and think to myself, oh, well, maybe I can change my set of goals. And maybe that means that I'm a little bit closer to being able to win a tournament, but that's not necessarily my goal. I'm kind of iterating on this. And I've seen that happen a lot in people who have success ultimately, that, it's not necessarily like, okay, I just picked up brand new video game from .com. I'm going to be the best in the world at this game. It's not necessarily that. It's people who find themselves sucked into it, or who set goals and then achieve them and then set new goals. And it's this kind of like long development process. Those are the people who I've seen have, I would say, more success.
Yeah. think those are all.
So anyway,
I think that's a great collection of answers.
The person asking this question, if you do have that kind of drive, then I think the answers that Tubbo and James gave are good.
Yeah.
And like Tubbo said, like it's a really long conversation and not something that really can be done in even 15 minutes, right? Which is what we allocate to this.
Correct.
That's a long time of trying to figure that stuff out. Nobody learns those things quickly. But also, like, you don't necessarily need to have the goal of being the greatest in the world. If you do, cool. That's also obviously valid. It's just that, you know, I think a lot of us who watch and are sort of ensconced in the tournament scene see people who have that kind of goal and think, okay, I should also have that. Well, not necessarily. Not necessarily.
Okay.
Well, anything else to add?
I think that's true, Matthew. I think that is basically true of everything. That people who have success are not just the ones who have like the goal from 0 to 100. It's people who are constantly working on stuff, and they have the drive, and they love what it is that they're doing.
I mean, one of the things that I've talked to Matthew about a lot actually is and also on your drive thing, right? Sometimes you just have to realize that there are a lot of things that are just more important to you than fighting games, right? So in some case, if you're trying to become a musician and you're just really trying to learn how to play a guitar, obviously if you spent that time playing fighting games, you're going to be very good at fighting games, but you see your improvement on the guitar, and that's absolutely fine. Sometimes, you don't have to try to get from beginner to advanced, because there's just something else that's more important to you.
Dude, like I recently finished watching the Michael Jordan documentary series on the Bulls in the 90s. I watched the first few and then I forgot, and then I finished it recently. And one of my major takeaways is like, I would have hated to be this guy. I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
It just sounds like a terrible life. Like you have these like momentary little instances of like, okay, whew, I did the thing, and then 5 minutes later you're like, oh, I gotta do the thing again. Just that must be awful.
Not for them.
Yep.
I think it sounded awful for him, but those little bits were great. Maybe they were worth it for him. I don't know, dude. But that was one of my big takeaways. Was like, wow, this is not a life I want. Instead, I'm not just. Obviously, he got rich and yada yada.
Yeah, I'd say he's a multi-billionaire now. So.
There's obviously benefits to that. But then I was like, well, what if I was just like one of the other guys on the Bulls team who was like,
then it's
also
miserable.
an NBA star.
Yeah,
like,
that's where it gets rough. Yeah. When Mike is making you act like him.
Okay,
like,
maybe
bro.
not on the Bulls team, but like, what if I was another NBA player who didn't have an asshole like on my team?
Yeah.
Right.
I'm trying to win. I'm trying to also like I have a family and like I'm trying to do other stuff. I don't know. I'm not going to be a professional athlete. I think in part because of that.
Right.
Yeah, that's the reason.
That's the reason. Is what I've told myself. Yeah. Not that my body falls apart like paper.
Nope, not at all.
Oh man, I mean, let's face it. If that didn't happen a long time ago, right? If you didn't try to catch that ball with the gopher holes, you could have been like top. You could have been playing for the Anaheim Ducks right now, David. That's
you never know. You never know.
Alternate universe, David.
I was pretty good.
Yeah.
But not that good. All right. Let's get to the next one.
All right, yeah. Moving on.
Okay. Next question is, are there archetypes in commentary? If yes, what are they? And how is the chemistry between how does the chemistry between them work? The best way to answer this is that David has always described commentary as matchups, and that basically means a resounding yes to all the parts of the question.
Analyzer, storyteller, and entertainer are the three archetypes. And
you changed it. What did it used to be?
I don't remember what it used to be.
No, yes you do. Yes you do. It used to be a Yipes, an Artosis, or an Eris. That's what it used to be.
No, I think those those aren't the archetypes. Those are like the
best examples,
like kingdoms.
Yeah.
No, those are like the originators of their respective styles.
But we kind of broke that down into who is who. Remember, we talked about who I was and who James was. And...
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
well, because I think they're really good examples of a couple of those, like Artosis.
And James and you both disagreed on what role I play. That was pretty good.
So wait, what were the 3 roles that you have? The archetypes you have now, David? You said analyst,
analyzer, entertainer, and storyteller.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, obviously Yipes is entertainer and Artosis is analyzer. They're 2 super classic examples of that. As far as storyteller, I think James is a really good example of that. I think that's like one of the main examples of that sort of archetype. Somebody for whom the players are super important and telling their story, and even in the match, analyze the analysis is not always this decision was smart or not smart. It's like tell the story of the decisions as they add up to being what the players sort of like to do, right? Like that sort of eye to it. And when it comes to the entertainment side of it, when it comes to like being the hype person, still the story's there. We'll talk about the crying caster in a little bit, for example. Like that's a big part. I think you're a really good example of that. So for me, those are the ones. And branching out between them is interesting. I mean, the reality is that nobody's a pure one of any of those.
Right.
You know, everybody likes to do different things and is good at doing different things as well. But like maybe you come at them from a little bit of a different angle. Like I think that somebody who primarily wants to do analysis, but also can do hype, maybe the stuff that they get hype over is like, wow, that decision was incredible. Oh my God, you know. And maybe somebody who's more of a storyteller, when they get hype, it's like, wow, this means so much to that player. That's remarkable. Like there's kind of different things that maybe they do get excited. They're both getting excited. They're both doing the hype, but like, what's it about? And sort of how you go between these different things may be different based on what kind of archetype you may have.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I mean, honestly, the advice that I always give everybody on commentary is just, you know, kind of be yourself kind of thing, right? Find the role that fits for you. And so, yeah, I do believe there's a lot of archetypes out there. And, you know, David saying that, you know, there's matchups has really kind of stuck with me for a long time because, you know, one of the things I do pride myself on is the ability to work with different commentators. So the second part of the question is, how is the chemistry between them works? The chemistry works between them perfectly if you're willing to do it. Like, I don't think that there's 2 combinations that you can put together that just doesn't work. I don't think that exists. It's just you have to understand the degree of how to work with each other, and it's going to be different for everybody. So, for example, like, Yipes and Tasty Steve are both hype men, right? But the way that I commentate with both of them is very different. You know, when you commentate with Yipes, I've often said, you know, I used to try to be more of an analysis kind of guy. And if you go too hard in an analysis while commentating with Yipes, you get swallowed up. You just do, because everything you say just turns into walk, because Yipes is just on the side going, yo, you know, and like things go crazy. So you feel like you're supposed to balance out Yipes by being more analyst to balance him. That doesn't work with Yipes. You know what I mean? Like he makes your commentary irrelevant in a lot of ways. And so you have to flow with Yipes in a lot of way, or find ways to bring him into the analysis so that he can kind of get involved in that as well. Whereas with Tasty Steve, who has worked so much with Sajam is an analyst. And so Tasty Steve works as a hype man with the analyst, God, why can't I say that? With the analyst really, really well. So when you work with Tasty Steve, you can go into the analyst role and then he will just automatically jump in there with you and stuff like that. So it's fascinating. Like the whole concept of the matchups, I've never, like, the first time David said that, it was like a light bulb, and like that has just been the way that I approach it so much. And there's a lot of times you'll go in with new first time commentators, and you'll notice that they just don't want to say anything. They get scared and stuff like that. And so I'll purposely ask them questions that I know they can answer, or ask them in a way that promotes what they say, you know, all sorts of, it's just about adapting to the person. And so I don't think that there's any, you know, like I said, the chemistry part of the question. I think the chemistry can work, and it really is dependent on the skill of the casters a lot of the times, and and sometimes it just takes one of them to have that skill to bring the chemistry up. I've had good chemistry with commentators that have had trouble doing commentary because I've been able to bring them in and get what they say to add to the stream a lot more. So
that idea of the matchup was something that for me was kind of like a light bulb as well. And it was because of the time that I commentated with Mike Ross, where I got goaded into saying that Sagat Zangief is 5'5" in Street Fighter 4. And later on, I was like, why did I say that? Like, that's so stupid. Like, what? Why did I feel like I needed to like match him in terms of like he's saying all this like funny zany stuff? Why did I like need to do that? And I just thought to myself, like, well, my matchup versus Mike is different than my matchup versus somebody else, and that was like the sort of origin of that. But yeah, I do think it's valuable. Yeah.
When I commentated with Mike, I got yelled at because my matchup with him is that we just start going completely off the rails and doing whatever, and people were like, "Talk about the game," and we were like, "Whatever." But I mean, you getting goaded by Mike, that happened with me at Combo Fiend at Evo one time, where someone was playing against Momochi, and I was doing commentary with Combo Fiend, and Momochi destroyed the guy because, it was unknown versus Momochi, right? And after the match was over, the guy who lost, like, pointed at his headphones. And, Combo Fiend is like Mr. Trash Talk, right? Like, when you're just around him, you just say shit like that. And so the guy started pointing at his headphones and was like, I couldn't hear anything. And I was like, I really don't think the audio was going to help him in that situation. And then sure enough, like 15 minutes later, a guy tweets me, he's like, oh, the audio wasn't going to help me, huh? And I was like, oh God, because I got goaded into it by Combo Fiend, It's just one of those things. Oh, man.
There are a bunch of different matchups, and while I think that you can approach people who have the same archetype in similar ways, that every person's going to be different, for sure. Like James was explaining with Yipes and Steve.
Yeah.
What do you think, Baracco?
You guys have already said everything that I would have said. I mean, I don't really have much to add, honestly. So,
yeah, sounds good. Yeah, I mean, there's
covered.
It's obviously a bunch of different takes on each of the archetypes, and even within that, it's a lot of individuality.
And again,
it's fun. I mean, one of the coolest things is that each person's a different person on commentary. I like that a lot.
And one of the best things, one of the very fortunate things for me and David, honestly, is that we've had each other, because we talked about this shit so much in the past. Like, I still remember that. I mean, I always tell the story where after NCR, we were all at dinner and me and David were like, so what'd you think of commentary today? Oh, I think I did this too much and blah, blah, blah. And Z was sitting with us and he was like, you guys talk about this? And
it just seems real obvious to me. I don't know, man.
But I mean, we've had a lot.
I agree with you, but he also didn't have that many people to talk with him.
Right. And then you and I, we've just been very philosophical with the way that we approach commentary a lot of the times too. So we'll always like talk about like, what do you think this? How do you think that should we do this? Or maybe this is bad for, we used to have these conversations a lot. So it definitely helps to have someone to bounce these ideas off of like that. So I don't know what the context is. I see someone in the chat wrote Kenny Omega is awesome. He is very awesome.
Oh yeah.
He's one of the coolest guys, man. I still remember at Evo Japan, he really wanted to commentate with Logan, and I had a spot to commentate with Logan, and Kenny Omega runs up to me and he's like, James, I want to ask you a favor. And I'm like, what? He's like, I really want to commentate with Logan. Can I take your slot at this time? I'm really sorry. I don't want to take away your spot and everything. They said they'll pay you the same or whatever. I'm really, really sorry. And I was like, dude, take it. I was like, so nice. Do less.
I'm getting paid the same. Yep, you can work for me.
I was like, yeah, I know. I was like, do less work and get paid the same. I was like, go, dude, go. And he was like, I'm so sorry. Thank you. And I was like, dude, thank you, dude. It's fine.
I would have been like, look, I need some NJPW swag.
Right.
Sent to my door. All right.
Trade. So funny. Remember when at CEO he was going to take over for us on commentary, and we were going to be like, we were supposed to, we wanted to, it wasn't agreed on beforehand, but we wanted to like ham it up and be like, oh, you're going to take our spots on commentary, huh? Like that was like
kicking us off, you know?
Yeah. So what we wanted to do was like feign anger, like in wrestling, right? Like everybody's just being a ham. So we were like, all right, let's ham it up, and we'll be like on camera as they come in and take our headsets. Kenny and I think it was Logan, maybe.
No, it was Mike Ross that time, I think, wasn't it?
It was Mike. Yeah. And we were like, all right, well, let's ham it up and say no. And I accidentally did the best acting of my entire life when I was like, I can't believe you're taking this from me.
Right.
I really was looking forward to CEO commentary, and you're kicking me off the mic right now at this super important moment. I flew all the way to Florida for this, dude.
Right.
I can't believe you. And like, rather than it coming across as me being like a wrestling ham, I was like somehow a genius actor.
Yeah, because like literally Kenny, like Kenny even broke like kayfabe a little bit, and he was like, "Are you okay? Is this cool?"
Yeah,
like on stream. Yeah, and then everybody on Twitter was like, "That was so messed up that they kicked you guys off and everything," because I was like, "What the heck is happening?" and everything, and we were like, "No, it was all just for fun. It was all for fun, dude." Oh my god,
anyway,
I forgot about that, dude. That was hilarious.
All right, let's move on to the next one. Let's talk about XO Academy. James, do you want to talk about this?
Yeah.
Introduce this?
So XO Academy is something we've had Persia on here before. Obviously, she goes on Twitter as Persia XO. So she created something called the XO Academy. This is basically a program in which she tries to help, as being one of the main pioneers of being a woman in the fighting game industry, fighting game and esports and stuff like that. She wants to help others grow into that scene as well. So she started the XO Academy, where she would get potential commentators, potential players and everything like that, and get other people to train them. Like she's gotten Carolyn Dow to train them on like marketing kind of things, Amanda Stevens to train them on on how to PR kind of stuff. She's gotten me to talk to some of them for commentary, and then she gets people to train as well. Like one of the most famous ones was XSK Samurai training Maureen. And when Maureen did manage to defeat Dogura in Street Fighter V, XSK Samurai was standing there and just like cheering her on and doing stuff like that. And so she's had this program to help. So Romanova in the chat right here talking about it as well, that she did XO Academy as well. So it's basically Persia having, people help, women get into esports and have that kind of support and kind of get the information that they need. And so she's had a history of a lot of strong players. She did 2 seasons of XO Academy and then just kind of stopped for a very long time. Obviously, she's been very busy. She just, got the job at, where is it GameSpot, right? Yeah, GameSpot, where she's doing a lot of hosting gigs and everything. But she's starting back up, and the player that has been added to the roster right now, did you link it here in the documentary? There it is.
I sure did.
Oh no, I linked it. That's right. Okay. You
sure did.
Beauty, a Tekken player, and for the second time in XO Academy, Cuddlecore is going to be the coach. And you can't ask for a better coach than Cuddlecore, because in the past as well, she also trained a player named Athena, and Athena became a pretty strong player as well. So this is going to be really exciting. But I mean, it's such a neat program. It's really neat program. And, we've had Persia on here before to talk about a lot of these things. And, for me, since she's had me help for it, XO Academy, I wanted to support her as well. So I definitely wanted to bring this up and talk about, the XO Academy and it coming back and just kind of the cool things that it does. So.
For sure, man. Yeah, it's really good. I'm glad to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Okay.
Dope.
Yeah, definitely something to keep supporting. I'm really glad that that's still happening.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's move on to the next little bit here. Let's talk about briefly the Intercontinental Fight Club from 10-0. They've been doing Tekken in, I think, 3 different regions every week, every Wednesday. And what's cool is that if you're a Tekken fan, you can basically start watching that. I guess it depends on where you live, right? But like if you start watching at one point, it'll be in East Asia, and then it will be in Europe, and then it will be in North America. And it's like almost uninterrupted the whole time. Like, it's really long. It's across a couple of different streams, but the point is like there's a ton of Tekken to watch that day, and it's all high level. So that's going to be coming to Guilty Gear Strive. They're also going to be doing it for Strive again in Asia, where it's going to be on twitch.tv/Majin Obama.
Yes.
And then Europe, where it's going to be twitch.tv/Tenno Media. And then I believe it's also Tenno Media. No, I'm sorry.
No,
North
Tasty
America is going to be
Steve.
twitch.tv/tasty_Steve.
Yeah. And so
Delicious Steven.
That's so cool.
It's starting on July 1st, but actually
July 8th.
Oh, yeah, you're right. But it starts on July 8th, but they're going to do 2 preseason weeks where anybody can enter any region, actually. And basically, just to kind of get the whole thing down, obviously the Strive lobbies are a little jank. So, we got to make sure that we can run this whole thing as clearly.
Well, they did announce that they've switched from PC to PS4, PS5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think it was
that probably has a lot to do with the lobby system.
Yeah. And so, and yes, I did say we because according, I will. Hey, Nathan, stop. Sorry, but I will be honorary Brit, and so I will be on the Europe team coming up for the next few weeks. So we'll see how that goes because that means I have to wake up super early.
Do you?
I have to wake up at 10 a.m. to do this. So.
Oh, yeah, it's so early, dude.
It's unbelievably early, dude. Like that doesn't even make any sense, dude. But yeah, I'll be joining that crew over there in Europe and doing some commentary for Guilty Gear Strive. And again, if you guys haven't seen ICFC, it's very casual. It's very laid back. 4 people on the mic at the same time, just kind of, shooting the shit and stuff like that. It's good time. It's good times.
Yeah, it's a really good show. Cool. Looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to playing in it, getting my Axel in there.
Let's go. And actually, they encourage their commentators to play in it at the same time as
That's
you
true.
see,
I've seen that. Yeah.
with Tekken, because they can switch to 3 people or whatever, and they like having people come back with the salt. So maybe I'll have to enter it so that I can come back with as much salt as humanly possible.
I'll tell you what, Seg, I'll enter your event if you bring me on for commentary. How about that?
What a deal.
Yeah.
Oh, man. All right.
All right, cool. Good news. Good info.
Results.
Oh, yeah, let's talk about tournament results because there were some interesting ones over the past weekend and, in fact, even today. Let's talk about first the Capcom Pro Tour North America Midwest #1 happened over the past weekend. Like we were talking about earlier, I did commentary for it with St. Cola, who flew out there. I'm really glad that they got a Midwest guy to be there for that. That's definitely good. And it's the first time that there is a Midwest region for the Street Fighter Pro Tour, which is cool. I mean, we did talk about this a little bit on the stream. It's always been a region that has had strong players, even going back to literally Street Fighter 2, like at the start. And it's a region that has had multiple EVO champions across a bunch of different games, and that has had and still has some of the biggest majors in the FGC. So it's a region that has all these different sub-regions, sort of cities all over the place. I'm really glad that they got a specific
Mid-best, baby.
And how good were those losers bracket matches, dude?
Yeah,
in
every
top
single
8
losers match was a 3-2, and several of them were comebacks as well, which is pretty cool. Rob TV won it. Shout outs to Rob, man. He won it without losing a single game all the way through, even all the way into winners finals and grand finals.
I mean,
where it was Brian F who got second place.
When I saw,
honestly, he looked like the best, and the way that dude was playing, I feel like he could be a contender for the entire thing in Capcom Cup because he was playing almost flawlessly.
I mean, I've said it since the first season of Street Fighter League. I'm not sure what it was, but as soon as I saw him start playing and he was doing really, really well that tournament, I said to myself, I was like, this guy could become the best player. Like in the country, he could become one of the best players in the country. Like he could get up there with Punk and Knuckle-Doo. And I told myself, like, I think the thing that was holding him back was himself more than anything else, because you could see that a lot of times he would get into his own head and he would end up losing. And then in the interview with you guys, he was like, yeah, I had to just like start ignoring the haters and things like that. And so it's just like, it was exactly how I kind of, read how he was going through the whole entire thing. And so now, I mean,
James Chen, the storyteller.
Yeah, I feel exactly, and I feel like he's been one of the best players now. But I feel like that the way that he did this, and poor Brian F. I do not want to watch the next No Neutral, because that is going to be a brutal show. But I mean, the way that he dismantled Brian F. I mean, he is definitely a step above, I feel like, than a lot of. It
looked very similar to the way I dismantled Brian F. on his stream. To which I said, "Good games, Brian F." And then he banned me from his chat.
He sure did.
Was that with May?
Yeah, it was with May.
Okay.
That was with May.
He played Saul Bad Guy.
Yeah.
I don't feel bad for him.
No, you can't feel bad, of course.
Yeah, get out of here.
Yeah, I mean, it was again really cool for the Midwest to have one. Shout outs to Rob, obviously deserving, very much so. Yeah, looking forward to seeing more of that.
Yeah.
Anything else on this one?
Yeah, I mean, again, I had a conversation with Logan about this on Twitter, and I agree with 100% what he says. When we get back to offline, please, let's find a way to keep a lot of these going, because having Middle East, Midwest, Brazil have their own areas, and we get to see a lot of the players that we don't normally see. How many of the players in those interview things are always just like, man, I'm just so happy to be here. I didn't expect to get this far, and good job to my region. Like it's yeah. Like, we can do both is what me and Logan both echoed on Twitter. We can keep both, and we can do the offline stuff. We can keep doing the online with the smaller regions like this. I think it's so important, and I love how Capcom's handled it this year so far. I love it. I unabashedly love how they've been handling it.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
Okay. All
right, we move on. Let's talk about FGC Arcade. I'm not going to have the results for this because they're like right now. It's like happening. What it is it's a, I think we did talk about it a little bit of time ago, but this is a series of side tournaments that are going on before EVO. They have been going on throughout this month, last couple of weeks. Tekken 7, Mortal Kombat 11, Guilty Gear Strive, and Grand Blue Fantasy Versus in North America and in Europe. And there were qualifiers. Those weren't streamed. The finals are obviously streamed, and they got a bunch of people to do like high quality commentary for it. It's pretty cool. And yeah, that's like happening. So I don't know the results, but I did definitely want to shout that out. And I don't know if it's still going to be going after we are. I haven't checked right now, but I don't have the full results for you. Cool though. Means Evo is going to be soon. Huzzah!
Yeah,
you can watch that on twitch.tv/Evo.
Yeah, I saw clips of, like, for example, I think it was Ringe and Ebonic Plague doing some Grand Blue Fantasy Versus commentary. It seems like there was like over 2K people watching. And it seemed like they were, a lot of the Grand Blue Fantasy players were pretty happy about it. So it's actually really
cool. For sure. Okay, and then the last one to talk about is the CLG Burst Guilty Gear Strive event over this past weekend. There were a few Strive events to talk about that happened, but we'll just talk about this one. Counterlogic Gaming is a big esports team, if you guys aren't aware. And this was, as far as I know, the first time that they did stuff in the FGC as far as running a tournament, which is great. Cool to see that. It got a ton of entrants. Something like 400 people entered this thing. It was really, really big. And they had a stream where they streamed the entire top 32. That was actually the entire day. And the stream was 8.5 hours long. Not just because it was top 32, but also like it's Guilty Gear Strive, and they had lobbies that they had to get through, and that took them some time, and yada yada. They also had interviews with the players, which were honestly really cool. There were a lot of them, so it took a lot of time, but it was really cool that each of the players got to be like, hey, here's who I am, and this is what I like, and talk about themselves a little bit. I like that a lot. So good work. The winner was SQ with Ramlethal. Second place was Justin Wong with May. Third place was Reynolds with Axel. Fourth place was Hotashi with Nago. Fifth places were Kenso with Chip and Super Noon with Ram. And then seventh places were Des with Axel and Void with Chip.
Dope.
So really good character variety. There are a couple repeats in there. It's Axel and Ram, which maybe is a little bit less surprising.
I mean, Axel's
there's no souls up there.
Axel's a good counter character, right? So he's always going to do well. He just has a couple of matchups. Like I heard, like Potemkin's hard. I heard Faust can't beat him.
I honestly think he's legit good. I mean, I don't know enough about the game to be like he's like really good. But yeah, I think he's just really good. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, it was really cool to watch. I watched it on replay, not as it was happening, because I was doing Street Fighter commentary as it was happening. And to watch it on replay isn't actually that bad, because you get to fast forward through stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Still a lot to watch, but it doesn't take that long.
What channel was that streamed on?
Yeah.
I think it was CLG. Yeah, I watched it. What's the channel? It might just be CLG. Let me see.
Okay.
Or CL Gaming, maybe? I'm going to find out for you right now. Counter Logic Gaming. It's the full name. Counter Logic Gaming.
Got it.
All right.
There you go. Check it out.
Definitely.
I also like this because it was a mix of scenes. All these people have played Guilty Gear in the past, so I don't mean to describe it that way, but like, you know, Justin Wong primarily for other stuff. You know, Reynald primarily for other stuff. But nevertheless, like, and it wasn't just them. Like K7 Showoff, who's a really good Mortal Kombat player, made a really deep run too. So there were all these players who were from different scenes. Who also did great. So it's cool. Like I said, it's like a meetup game.
Very similar to the Levo top 8, remember, that Leffen ran. So, yeah. So, like I said, this might be the true scene uniter. We'll see what happens.
All right.
I don't think we'll really know until until offline majors are back. But yeah, go ahead, David.
That probably is true, yeah. But for now, it's doing a really good job of that.
It is.
Let's talk about James Chen.
And in the show notes, he actually put down 300,000 seconds. So that's what I actually typed in there. So
that's how many seconds we're going to be talking about this. Sweet. Here's what happened. The channel, The Score Esports on YouTube, put up a video titled "How a Salty Raging Superfan Became Esports' Iconic Crying Caster."
And that is some clickbait title right there. I love it.
It surely is.
God, I would have never came up with that.
And it's all about James, and it goes into your background and your history with the FGC all the way up to modern day, and your commentary and like what you're sort of inspired by and stuff. Did you do interview pieces for this, or was it just put together?
Yeah, did you have any idea this was coming?
I had no idea this was even coming. Like, all the interview footage, if you will look at it, is me with short hair. So when the heck did that interview happen, right? I mean, those interviews happened years ago and stuff. And so, like, literally, I had no idea this was coming. There was just a lot of footage that they culled together from a lot of interviews that I've done for them in the past. They did grab some modern footage of my stream, for example. They actually showed me on stream demonstrating my amazing RNG. I've told you the story about my amazing RNG, right? Where Olaf bought a bunch of, card game packs. It was for one of those universal card games on, and for KOF. So it was a bunch of KOF characters and stuff like that. And so it was me, Olaf, and Kitty. We were just opening packs on stream at one point in time. And they gave me one pack. There's 8 cards in the pack. One guaranteed to be a gold foiled card. One to be like some special card. And then 6 other random characters, right? So I opened my pack, and I got Takuma. I got Takuma. I got Takuma, I got Takuma, I got Takuma, and I got Takuma. Like, in one pack.
Wow.
Dude, that is... I don't know if you're using this story to say that you have bad or good luck.
Right.
That's actually incredible.
You got some luck.
Yeah, incredible luck.
See, the thing is, obviously, we wanted the variety on this one because we want multiple characters. And, I told them, too. I told Olaf and Kitty that guarantee you that pack did not have those until I touched it. Like, as soon as I touched it, they magically transformed. But they put that footage in there, which I thought was hilarious.
Schrodinger's Takumas, huh?
Yeah. But yeah, no, I had no idea they were making this. This was new to me. People started linking it to me. And I was like, what the heck are they even talking about? And I started watching it, and like I couldn't even watch it because I just hate seeing things about myself, you know?
I was going to say, did you cry? While reading the article?
I mean, I didn't cry watching it or anything like that. More just like I was just sitting there listening to the things that they were saying about me, and I was just like, my imposter syndrome was kicking in because I was just like, none of this is true. Like, I'm not like, you know, they were saying a lot of these things, and I was like, you know, there's the Hado, there's Tom and Tony Cannon, there's like, you know, Markman, there's all these people who have done so many more important things for the FGC than me, you know, like I was just like, it felt wrong to me.
You created an entire language, basically. Like yes. you get that, right? Like you basically created fighting game speak.
Yeah.
None of those guys would say the words that they say that you just named without the words that you invented.
From my FAQ days, you mean, and stuff?
Yeah,
like
come on, man. Like, wait, chill.
That's true.
You've already contributed a ton just from that.
And then in commentary, you inspired a ton of people to even get into commentary. Right. Yeah, you know, James, almost 50,000 people have watched that video so far. It came out 2 days ago, and that's. Some of those people are just like watching because this is what came up, but right. A lot of those people are like because I see them in the replies. They're like, "Oh, James, I love James. He's so great. He adds so much. I've been watching him for forever." And,
yeah, my favorite.
And I know that you get a lot of replies like that on Twitter and elsewhere as well.
Yeah, my favorite comment was I knew this guy from Tetris. I didn't know he did other games too.
Oh, that's cool.
I told you, you're the big Tetris guy.
Right.
That's awesome.
I mean, that video of Jonas losing to Joseph for that, you know, first time has 16 million views on YouTube. I think more people have watched me do Tetris commentary than all fighting game commentary combined. Like
it's possible.
I think it's actually true.
It's possible. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, dude. It's very deserving. I'm glad to see this for sure. I know that it's not easy for you to take positive feedback sometimes like that, but it is absolutely true, and all the stuff that they said is right, and I'm really glad to see it.
Yeah, like I said, it was a surprise to me. I wasn't expecting it, and a lot of the nice things that people have been saying on social media has been very, very appreciative. I mean, I've been very appreciative of a lot of that as well. So thank you to everybody who has reached out and, you know, had some nice things to say to me on social media as well. Like I said, it's weird. It's weird because, I mean, the way that I've always described I feel like that I could be considered like the greatest FGC mascot, you know? Like, because I'm just the biggest fanboy, and I just want people to enjoy fighting games, really just what it comes down to, so.
Well, you've helped a lot of people do that.
Great. Yeah, fighting games are something, yeah, don't, freaking Tokido, dude.
They're so great, James. Come on, cry, damn it, cry.
I was gonna say you're trying to provoke the crying caster right now.
You know what I am gonna cry about? I'm gonna cry about the fact that we didn't get any mailbag questions.
True.
I can't.
You're at a big 0 with the mailbag questions today.
I can't use my cool animations. What the heck?
I mean, you can still do it. It'll just be blank.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, people go check things at the mailbox. They don't know that they got no mail until they've checked the mailbox.
Right. That's true. Let's see. Why?
If you want to go check out the video, again, it's at The Score Esports on YouTube. Just search for that. I'm sure you can see it on their channel there. It's how a salty, raging superfan became esports' iconic crying caster.
Oh, man. All right, so we'll do the mailbag here just for fun over here. So let's do the mailbag here. I just put in one question in here. So what's the question? What's the mailbag that we have? Question for today. James Chen on Twitch asks, why is May overpowered in Guilty Gear Strive? So
Dude, he capitalized over power too. He must really believe it.
Because it's OP, right? So there you go.
That's because James Chen doesn't know the matchup.
To be fair, I ran into a Mei on the 10th floor, and it was the first Mei that I had ever fought, and I won. So, because I studied the matchup a little bit. I looked for heavy Totsugeki, and I interrupted it with kick into Mega Fist, and stuff like that, because it's very hittable. A lot of people don't realize how terrible the hitbox on Totsugeki actually is. It's super hittable from the front. It's like Blanca in Street Fighter 2 bad,
Absolutely,
everything
like Blanca,
can hit it. And so if you actually see her cancel into heavy Totsugeki, you can actually react and just hit a button, interrupt it into a combo, basically. It's kind of the strategy against her. So,
the game in the mission mode has a thing where it tells you to option select block or hit against Mei's dolphin cancel.
Oh, does it?
It
does.
It actually says you can hit her here. You can press. It's something like you can press the button, but if she did the faster one, then you'll be blocking. But if she did the heavier one, then you'll get the button. Like, it doesn't say an option select. It doesn't call it that, but it's telling you to do that.
Yeah,
pretty cool.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't think they necessarily need to. Oh, shout outs to I Am Killajam for the gift subs.
Wow.
Thank you very much.
High five.
Yeah, high five. 5 gift subs.
Thanks to you from the Crying Caster.
Yeah. Great. That's all I'm gonna be is the Crying Caster now. So
that's what I'm trying to make happen. Yeah, exactly.
So I need to find Crying Brian. I need to take him, and the two of us need to make the Crying team right here.
That would be cool.
We'll call our team the Crying Game. That's what we'll call ourselves. So not probably not the best name to use, but still.
Probably not. Yeah. Alrighty.
That's been UltraChen TV Tuesday show.
Definitely the time to get out of here.
But,
all right, well, I'm going to go have dinner, but then also...
No, you're not. We're having a meeting with Casmer.
Oh, gosh darn.
You're lucky I remember, because I knew the both of you wouldn't.
That's right. That's
you're
right.
Absolutely
I forgot.
God.
So, yeah.
It's you guys don't know how bad it is when I got to be the responsible one, okay?
Alrighty.
Yeah, the reason why we're having a meeting with him, just so people know, is because we're kind of upset that he didn't submit a mailbag question this week. I mean, I feel like he's just slacking off at this point in time. So gotta make sure he puts in some mailbag questions. That's all.
Come on.
All right, guys. All right. Let me bird everybody over here as soon as I find the bird file. There it is. David and Tubo can't hear it because I haven't figured out how. No, actually, they can hear this one.
You can hear it now.
This one you can hear. This one you can hear. Yeah. All right.
Only when James is talking, because otherwise his noise reduction gets rid of it.
Okay. Yeah. But thanks, guys, for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys next time on the Tuesday show. Make sure you to like and subscribe down below. And see you guys. Peace.
Later, guys.
Thank you.